Ladies and gentlemen, now entering the field to present their 2022 show is the Mount Carmel Area Big Red Band. This year's show features the music of Buddy Rich, the Grassroots, and the Isley Brothers. We open with the jazz rock classic Mercy, 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 made famous by the Buddy Rich Big Band. Next, we will feature a medley of tunes from the 1960s band The Grassroots, featuring the tunes Temptation Eyes and Midnight Confessions. The show will close with the Isley Brothers Shout, featured in the movie Animal House. The band is led on the field by drum majors Hannah Towie and Kelly Lawton. Flag captains are Amaya Bobrowski and Emily Britt, and rifle captain is Megan Matakaitis. This year's staff includes Bernard Steller, director; Erica Nestico, assistant director; Bernie Nestico, drum instructor; John Jacoby, assistant to the band director; Jennifer Melnick, color guard instructor; Chris Steller, Kelly Lucas, Luke Derrick, Cameron Getty, music and marching instructors; and Linda Haas, assistant color guard instructor. We would like to thank Marissa Matakaitis, Andrew Rooney, Ryan Green, Matt Steller, the MCA School Board and Administration, and especially the MCA band parents for their continued invaluable support. The band would like to recognize the late Paul Proximichek, legendary MCA Mounties director, who wrote the brass and woodwind arrangements for portions of our show. Ladies and gentlemen, before the MCA Big Red Band entertains you with their pregame show, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the heart and soul of the Big Red Band. Regardless of the outcome of tonight's game, tonight will be the final home game as the high school band director at MCA. We think it's only right to recognize and thank the boss, Mr. Bernie Steller. Since becoming the director of bands at Mount Carmel area in 1989, Mr. Steller has taught countless students, leading the marching band, concert band, jazz band, and pit orchestra. He has organized and hosted Pennsylvania Music Educators Association District 8 band and jazz festivals, extending his musical influence across our state. Even during stints as high school principal and superintendent of schools here at MCA, he still managed to teach and direct musical ensembles, showing his true dedication and love for Mount Carmel area, the students it serves, and the incredible power of music. A member of the Mounties and a 1977 MCA graduate, Mr. Steller has dedicated the last 34 years to enriching our students' lives through music. His knowledge is remarkable, his impact is immeasurable, and his leadership will be missed greatly. Please join me, the MCA band and staff, in congratulating and thanking Mr. Steller for his outstanding time here at Mount Carmel area. And now we invite you to sit back and enjoy the 2022 edition of the Mount Carmel Area High School Big Red Band.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Jazz Dimnick Field at the Silver Bowl. Tonight, the Red Tornadoes host Southern Columbia in the District 4 AA Championship in the snow. The MCA School District would like to extend a warm welcome to the Tiger football team, parents, and fans. Ladies and gentlemen, fireworks for this evening's team intro are provided by White Knights Fireworks of Danville, PA. A big red thank you to this week's sponsors, the Delaney family, Dorco's Cafe, Family Home Medical, Georgia Tia, the Gonzalo family, Hard Call Cafe 2, Hirsch Family Dental, Holy Angels Church, Matucci's Willow Cafe, Moss Garden Bakery and Cafe, the Notary Shop, One Stop Shop, Pink Moon Collective, Realty World, Salon 42, and the Wilburton Fire Company. We now ask that everyone please rise and direct your attention to the scoreboard end zone at the Silver Bowl, where our colors are prepared for tonight's game. Our national anthem tonight will feature MCA vocalists Caitlin Fernandez, Hannah Yuha, and Hannah Zimmerman. The Big Red Band will then follow with the Mount Carmel area alma mater.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, pregame fireworks provided by White Knights Fireworks out of Danville, PA. Big red thank you to all of our fireworks sponsors this week, the Delaney family, Dorco's Cafe, Family Home Medical, Georgia Tia, the Gonzalo family, Hardcore Cafe 2, Hirsch Family Dental, Holy English Church, the Two Cheese Little Cafe, Watts Garden Bakery Cafe.
Hello and happy Friday to all of you out there, wherever you are and whenever you may be watching. Tonight's WKMC TV broadcast is the District 4 Class 2A Championship game sponsored by the American Legion in Atlas, featuring the 3-seeded Southern Columbia area Tigers and the number 1 seeded undefeated Mount Carmel area Red Tornadoes. My name is Jim Lesko. Alongside me is my brother Dan Lesko. Jose Gonzalez supports us from the sideline, and together we're coming to you live from a snow-covered Jazz Diminick Field at the Silver Bowl in Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania, on what was previously just a chilly night, but has become a little bit of precipitation as well. And tonight the Red Tornadoes are going to seek to right the wrongs, so to speak, of the past decade or so by securing a district championship tonight and a state playoff berth for the first time in over a decade. Standing in their path is Southern Columbia, a familiar foe, Dan, who's gotten the better of Mount Carmel, and to be fair, all of Class 2A lately, as they've won District 4 and advanced the state title game for the last 6 years.
Yeah, Jim, it's a pretty impressive, this Southern Columbia area Tiger dynasty, if you will. You know, this team just has continuously had District 4 and, you know, all across the statewide AA dominance in the past, you know, as you said, a decade or so. That's near a decade. It's the last 6 that the Tigers have won and moved on and been in the state championship game after moving past this game. So, you know, realistically, looking at this game, if you don't want to look too far ahead, but the winner of this district championship game over the last few years has made it to the state championship game. Unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, that has been the Southern Columbia area Tigers. The Red Tornadoes looking to change that tonight.
Yeah, the Red Tornadoes already kind of changed the script a little bit. The last, 5 of the last 6 years now, the district championship game has featured these 2 teams on the field tonight. However, in the 4 meetings before tonight, it was over in Catawissa at Southern Columbia. So the Red Tornadoes have the benefit of home field advantage tonight. You see the great shot there on the snow-covered, beautiful grass here at the Silver Bowl for the Red Tornadoes. Looks like it's Fernando, Chicatano, Verano, and Nestico. And on the other side for the Tigers, it's Tlesky, Barnes, Wisłowski, and Treshok for the coin toss. Wait, try to see the toss here. Again, these are usually done, or I should say they're always done pregame.
Pregame, but we'll get the call here this time.
So the Tigers one elected to defer, so the Red Tornadoes will take the ball first to start us here. But yeah, if you didn't get here early, you missed out. There was some of the craziest snow squalls we've seen. And so while the 2 teams did meet for the coin toss pregame, as always happens, we couldn't see it.
It usually happens in the Boyer's end zone down there. And we usually have a pretty good view of it from here, Jim, when on a nice clear night. But tonight, that the snow squall that had hit just as we were working on that, it turned out to be it was near darkening almost. We couldn't see anything. It was almost like a heavy fog had rolled in, and kind of. But it was, you know, it was just the heavy snow that we were dealing with. We couldn't see anything. But as we got there, the Tigers win the toss and defer, and the Red Tornadoes will get the ball. So we'll see this Red Tornado offense, which is a pretty prolific one, Jim, in Red Tornado history.
Yeah, last week, by virtue of their 48-13 win over Hughesville, the Red Tornadoes kind of set the 12-game record for points in a single season. And this Red Tornado offense will look different than the one that started and finished the game at Southern a few weeks back, as the Red Tornadoes, as has been talked about ad nauseum over the last couple of weeks, have seen Cole Spears return to the starting lineup.
Yes.
But now we're having some communication here with the officials. I expect that to be a lot tonight, as the field, again, while it does a terrific job of kind of holding up, and that's courtesy to the groundskeepers here at the Silver Bowl, there's just going to be a lot to talk about. We can't find yard markers, and sidelines, etc.
Yeah, Jim, as you see right now, the Red Tornado coaching staff kind of talking to their front line there. They want to make sure they're at 10 yards. They're at that 50-yard line they were lined up, you're kind of just winging it out there, trying to find out. This is about where the 50 is, but you want to make sure you're right there it's going to be a lot of communication from the sidelines, and as you said, a lot of communication from these officials, which it looks like a larger officiating crew. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't get to see the big huddle like this too often, but it just seems like a larger officiating crew, and it may be because of being in the district championship game.
So in addition to the snow, it's cold. Make no mistake about it, it's cold. I was just looking at last week. So for week 12, the temperature at kickoff was 61 degrees. Now, grant you, that's a little misleading because it was 1 o'clock on a Saturday
afternoon.
right? But it's 30 degrees at game time here.
Whew.
So a bit of a different ball game altogether. And you see most of the players, many of the players, I should say, opted for some sleeves tonight. Red Tornadoes have largely a contingent of black sleeves. On the Tiger side, it looks white and gold. But again, still some conversation here with the officials as we try to get started.
Yeah, and again, I think this is going to be a little bit of a, like you said, this is probably going to be a common thing throughout the evening tonight, unless throughout play we saw in early time when these squalls kind of stopped and there was no snow coming down. The guys, they were out there, they were playing. Now the snow was not this thick. There was not this much snow on the field, but just by playing on it, they kind of chewed it up enough that you were able to start seeing yard markers and start seeing things. I don't see that happening anytime soon here in this game, but now we get a break of the huddle there from the officials, and we're about to get underway, Jim.
The Tigers will be Isaac Carter kicking off. We'll talk about him a lot tonight as he's made a move and will play some defense now for the Tigers, which again is different from what we experienced back in week 8. For the Red Tornadoes, the return formation is also a little different. We saw this last week, with Verano and Diaz back deep and Farinado kind of in between the second in the back line and the back line. But here we go. It's a good kick by Carter. Diaz will take it around the 5. Trouble with his footing immediately. He's going to get upfield. Still on his feet. Now we're going to be playing a little bit of a guessing game as we go tonight with some of these yard markers. It looks like he's right around the 25-yard line.
Yeah, I think that's a good guess. We're going to have to try and play by the red postings here all the way behind the Red Tornadoes bleachers to call it out. I think that's a pretty good guesstimate there, Jim, of the yard marker. But this, we're going to get a chance to see this Red Tornado offense, which is, again, we talked about how prolific it's been. We saw Diaz out there returning that kick, and he's a guy that relies on planning and cutting and stuff like that. It's going to be difficult in the elements tonight.
It'll be Diaz right away, and the ball's on the ground. Immediately, the Tigers recover. It's going to be 1st and 10 Tigers from inside the Red Tornado 20-yard line. And Dan, while we have the change of possession here, I think you talked about some keys of the game for the Red Tornadoes, and I think this probably goes against one of those right away.
Yeah, and to touch on all 3 of them for the Red Tornadoes, it's limit big plays, play clean, and be balanced offensively. And unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, a little misstep there with the fumble right away. I'm not sure if it was on the exchange or if it was on the tuck, but that puts the Tigers in great field position here to start their first offensive drive. Only 15 seconds here into the game.
Wise under center. He'll hand it to Madden off the left side. And he'll make his way to the corner. He'll be dropped by Reed after a gain of a few. It looks like it's going to be around 5, 2nd and 5.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of going to be a guessing game, seeing where these plays end up and kind of where they get to on the field. A major personnel change here on the Red Tornado side. Bringing in a little bit of beef. They bring Widener in. I think they're going to have 5 down defensive linemen. And now we got a flag.
An illegal substitution against the Tigers, but you're right, Dan. And the down lineman for the Red Tornadoes. And now they switch it up as it's going to go back to 2nd and 10.
And Jim, this is something that, we talked about this Tiger offense is going to look differently this week because they have Wes Barnes back. who he did not play in the Week 8 matchup. They have him back. He is a huge difference maker for the Tigers. So the Red Tornadoes making an adjustment, I think, on the fly here early on.
And it will be Barnes. The Red Tornadoes are ready for him. They'll stop him up. Whole host of red jerseys there waiting for him. It's going to be 3rd and about 8 after a short gain for Barnes.
And again, now we don't see that wholesale substitution here. I'm not sure if it's a down and distance thing, if it's going to be 5 yards or less. We go to a little bit of beef down here in your own territory, but either way, third and not super manageable here for the Tigers.
And they're going to sweep it to Wisławski, and the Red Tornadoes are there ready for him. So just a short gain for Wisławski. It's going to bring up 4th and about 6, we'll say. Maybe a little longer than that even.
Jim, and the speed of the Southern Columbia area Tigers is such a weapon that they have on their offense. The speed of Wisławski, Barnes, they can make a quick cut and get to the outside. That kind of makes things difficult here in the snow.
Yeah.
You have to slow things down. The pitch doesn't get there as quickly. You want to make sure you secure it. I think that plays into the favor of this Red Tornado defense, that the Tigers have to kind of slow things down a little bit.
Wise is going to throw. He goes straight back, and he flips it out to Madden.
It's a great
Barnes,
play.
excuse me. And he's blown up by Nestico. And Reed.
And Reed, Jim, I think Reed was the one that read that one all the way. The Red Tornadoes, there was no rush. They saw the screen coming, and immediately that's Maddox Reed coming up and making the huge play.
Reed got in and out of that tackle so fast, by the time I figured out where the play had finished, Reed was already halfway across the field.
And the Mad Dog with a huge play there and a huge momentum shift here for the Red Tornadoes as they get the ball back for their offense.
And this time, it's Blessing. And we expect to see a lot of him tonight, Dan.
Jim, this is going to be one of those games. This is going to be a grinded out, up the middle game. You don't want the long exchanges. You don't want the pitch plays. You don't want any sort of things that can get a little funky here, affected by the weather. So, and being balanced offensively, normally the Red Tornadoes like to have a good balance of run and pass. This seems like a kind of a game where it's going to be a lot more run than pass.
Spears sends Blessing in motion. They give it to Farinado, who's hit in the backfield and dropped. Looked like
I think that was Isaac Carter, Jim.
I think so too, Dan.
We talked about
or it might have been Arnold. I think it was Arnold.
Yeah, I think you're right. Arnold was the first. Again, that was another situation. He was in there so quickly on the tackle, he hopped right up, and he got out of there. Didn't even get a chance to give him the credit. But again, we talked about Isaac Carter. We see him. He's down there at the nose, it looks like, on the defensive line. And he moved there about 2-3 weeks ago, and he's been making a big impact.
It's 3rd and 10 for the Red Tornadoes. Spears to throw for the first time tonight. And he's got Schultz, who'll be short of the first down. A nice tackle made ultimately by, I think that's Chrisman, number 1 for the Tigers.
But this is close, Jim. It's going to be... Okay, they move him back a little bit. It looked like it was going to be about a half a yard. It looks like we're going to be about a yard and a half. But the Red Tornadoes right up on the ball.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely the right decision here. You don't know what's going to happen if you punt the ball in this weather.
Right. And you see...
They're going to go to the Wildcat with Blessing.
Yeah. Spears comes out, but that's Bradley that goes in. Usually we see Bailey, but Bradley goes in there, and he's going to lead the way for Blessing.
Blessing takes the snap, and he'll have the first down. A good hard run out across what appears to be the 35.
And that's a huge run there by Blessing to get the first down. And again, the Red Tornadoes kind of seizing that opportunity. They don't huddle. They don't take a whole lot of time. They make the quick substitution, and they're up on the ball. Doesn't give the Tigers much time to substitute to try to bring in any beef on that defensive line. And they're able to convert that into a huge first down here.
And give Coach Dara a lot of credit. That's a gutsy play call early on, but it was absolutely the right one to make. And now they snap it to the up man, Widener. And he'll pick up 5, we'll call it on that.
Yeah, Widener was hit early there, Jim, about a yard past the line of scrimmage, and he just kept dragging defenders. Again, that wedge play, he kind of gets inside almost a shell of his offensive line, and they carry him the rest of the way.
Blessing again. Now he's in the open for a nice tackle again made by Chrisman to stop Blessing from turning a chunk play into a home run.
Yeah, you're right. I think once he got past Chrisman, he was just going to have to find one of the edges, get to one of the sidelines, and it would have turned into a humongous play. But either way, it's a Red Tornado first down, and I like the tempo from the Red Tornado offense here. I think that's going to play into their favor.
.625 and counting here in the first quarter. It's scoreless. The District 4 Class 2A District Championship game between the Red Tornadoes and the Tigers. The sweep is to Blessing, and the Tigers do a nice job. Treshok and Carter on the stop. They're going to say Blessing got back to the line of scrimmage, but no further.
Yeah, Jim, Treshok chased that one down from behind. I mean, Treshok is not a small guy. 6'2", 280, running the play down from the far defensive tackle spot. But again, trying to get that pitch play to the edge. That's a speed play, and this snow, this weather, slows everything down.
2nd and 10, the ball just on the Red Tornado side of the 50, about the 48. And it's Blessing again up the middle, and he's got some space. A nice job by Carter to kind of grab a leg and hang on. Carter's a problem.
Yeah, and Jim, I'm don't quote me on this. This is word of mouth that I've heard, but I heard Isaac Carter's one of the strongest kids on this Southern Columbia area Tigers team. And for being the kicker, it's not usually something you're used to hearing. But
when your kicker becomes a down lineman defensively.
And I remember we talked about it. We didn't see him really on anything but the kickoffs in the last game, but we talked about the size of him, and he's a big kid, and he's a formidable kid to be playing the safety on kickoffs.
Well, it's 3rd and about 7 for the Red Tornadoes here. There's the sweep to Blessing, and they get it out of there quick, but again, a nice tackle made. That time is at 30-31, I think. That's Colden Bloom.
Yeah, that's a really good play there by Bloom, and now we'll see. And the Red Tornadoes do opt for the punt. So now, and I think this is the right decision.
Yep.
I think so. Now you have an opportunity to pin the Tigers deep in their own territory. Now you just, again, the elements have such an effect on just a simple play as a punt. You need the snap. You need the reception of the snap, and you need to get a decent kickoff.
Red Tornadoes go with a hard count. Tried to pick up a few extra yards there. Good punt from Yagodinsky.
Very nice
Angled
kick.
to the sideline. There'll be no return. It's going to be inside the 15 if those
we'll see.
Red markers are to be trusted.
And it's so hard to tell, too, Jim, where exactly the ball went out of bounds because, I think you're right. It's going to be right inside or right around the 15-yard line.
I went to
maybe even closer to the 10 if you go by this one over here.
I went to the optometrist today, so I'm feeling pretty good about my eyesight.
Well, that's good because you're going to have to help me out throughout the rest of the night.
Looks like the ball's right around the 13, 14-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 from that point. No score here, 4:08 left in the first quarter. Wise hands it to the up man, straight up. I believe that's Barnes.
Yeah, I think so. Barnes is usually the guy lined up at the fullback spot there, and it is.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
And again, Jim, this Tiger offense is going to have to find a way to get their speed guys the ball in space.
And there's one of the changes you see.
Yeah, and as you see, as the Tigers are making substitutions, the Red Tornadoes defense are making substitutions as well.
Madden comes in motion. They're going to swing. Oh! And Barnes fell. He's going to do everything he can. He'll dive back on the ball, but it's going to be all the way back inside the 5-yard line.
Wow, and Jim, again, you can't see where the goal line is there. I thought that was close to turning into a safety.
Oh my goodness! And that's just Barnes lost his footing. You see here on the replay. You saw on the replay, excuse me.
Yeah, it's a timing play. Wise is turning and getting that ball out immediately, and Barnes wasn't home.
So it's now 3rd and about 20.
Backed way up here.
And Wise is going to throw. He's going to float it out there. Oh, it's intercepted. It's intercepted by Farinado. 1st and 10, Red Tornadoes at around the 25-yard line.
And Jim, you know, we anticipated this coming into this game. We knew it was going to be a difficult game all around with, you know, kind of handling the football. And now we're not 10 minutes into this first quarter, and we've got 2 turnovers. You know, Jim, this Red Tornado defense, there's guys with 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This defense has more picks than Guitar Center.
It's pretty good, Dan. 1st and 10 from 27 for the Red Tornadoes. It's Diaz again. He'll be stopped after a short gain. It's like Kozlowski, or perhaps might have been Hoy.
Yeah, it looked like Hoy definitely came in there at the end.
Hoy's also now got snow on the top of his 6.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell. That's a 6 or an 8.
Most of these guys that are toughing it out in there and in on some of these tackles are going to have their jersey numbers are going to be obstructed here pretty soon.
Hand off to Verano, but there's a flag here. I think they're going to get the Red Tornadoes for some motion.
Yep.
Illegal shift against the Red Tornadoes, so take 5 yards here. It'll be 2nd and 13 from about the 30.
Yeah, we'll see, Jim.
The Tigers are going to decline it. Okay.
I kind of thought that maybe Coach Roth would do that because the Verano didn't really get much of a gain there on that play. So it turns a 2nd and 8 instead of going to a 2nd and 13. Just turns into a 3rd and 8. So we'll see if it pays off for the Tigers, if they're able to get a stop here on 3rd down.
Red Tornadoes are going to go behind that big offensive line as always. Again, it's Shimko, Geary, Langton, Lamas, and Nestico, with Chicatano and Schultz as the tight ends. And it's Diaz who makes the first man miss, the second man miss. There's a face mask
and they're
coming
gonna
in.
yes, and that's huge for the Red Tornadoes.
Yeah, and give the that's one of those. And again, it's really hard, kind of, not to call those at times because your head, and you see here in the replay, it's just you watch Diaz's head, it kind of moves in an unnatural way.
And it's unfortunate, too, because you're in there as a defensive lineman. You're just trying to get your hand on something to try and make a tackle. And because of the yank, I think, was that a personal foul? Did they give him the 15 there?
Well, I think where we are, it's not going to be 15 regardless.
Well, yeah, it would be half the distance. But either way, it would turn into a Red Tornado first down. But
it'll be tacked on to the end of the run. Yeah, that's more than 5 yards he walked off. So that's going to be the 15-yard automatic first down. It's going to bring the ball again.
And we did get the signal. Personal foul.
Bear with us here. It's somewhere inside the 15. Well, there we go. Okay,
yeah, it's not a goal to go yet.
Right. And there the Red Tornadoes got a little movement on the Tiger line, but they do a good job of getting back. And a nice play made. That time it's Arnold. As the lanes don't seem to be there for Diaz early on tonight.
Yeah, that's a really nice play by Arnold. Again, coming from the backside of the play, he was able to kind of catch Diaz as he planted and slung him down and didn't give up anything on that.
So 2nd and 10. Again, the Red Tornadoes do have the opportunity to pick up a first down here, but I think they've got to get all the way to the 1. Looks like the ball's sitting right around the 11. As we approach 1 minute left in the first quarter of a scoreless contest here at the Silver Bowl. Verano comes in motion. Spears keeps it himself, but a great read. I think that's Arnold again, who kind of stepped through the line, Dan, and then he just watched Spears to see what he did with the ball.
And that's what you have to do, because I mean that's for the Red Tornadoes at least. That's always a designed run. It's not really an option play for Spears, but you have to play it like an option play with all the misdirection in the backfield. And you're right, he made sure that it wasn't the running back that went through first and stuck with the quarterback.
3rd and 10 on what'll likely be the last play of the first quarter. It's Diaz again, and there's nowhere to go for the shifty Diaz as he runs into, looks like, Fedorov and Treshok.
Yeah, Jim, we talked about it. Inside the inside the tackles is going to be where the Red Tornadoes are going to have to eat tonight, because it's going to be so hard to make anything happen on the outside.
And so that's the end of the first quarter. Scoreless here at the Silver Bowl in the Class 2A District 4 championship game.
Jim, you love.
I see this.
Love seeing this. I'm not sure if these gentlemen out here are, volunteers, if they did this on their own, or if they're contracted through the school district, whomever it is. I think these guys are just out here volunteering to help out. But as we have a break here, they're running from sideline to sideline, just trying to get us at least the 10-yard markers. And we've got at least one half of the field ready to go.
I certainly appreciate the efforts, and we certainly appreciate the support of the American Legion in Atlas, the sponsor of tonight's game.
Yeah, and as the Red Tornadoes will get ready to, the Red Tornadoes, not a very long break here at the quarter. They didn't have too much to talk about. They wanted to get out there. It's 4th and 10. Let's get on the ball and let's make a play here and convert this 4th down.
And in some scenarios, Dan, you look and you go 4th and 10 from the 11, they have to throw it, right? But tonight, given the ball security that can happen and given the Tigers the long field, I mean, if you've got to play a run play that you like, even if you don't get into the end zone, we've already seen the Tigers struggle with ball security, just like the Red Tornadoes did. So you're curious if it's kind of, hey, pinning them deep works too.
You're right, Jim, but I think they're going to throw it.
You see Verano and Farinato both split out. Spears is in the backfield by himself. We've got Widener offset to the right with Chicatano and Schultz at the 2 tight end positions. And Verano's out here all by himself, Dan.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see who they...
Verano's got 31 catches for 462 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season.
Spears going to be looking to get this ball out quickly because he's under pressure.
And he's going to throw it out to Verano, and it's intercepted. And Hoy's got space, and he stepped out of bounds, fortunately. Ooh, that was almost.
Yeah, Jim, again.
Whew.
Yeah, that
made me nervous, Dan.
Very much so. And again, it's so hard to tell where the sideline is. The official doing a good job being right on top of it. It looks like the Tigers are going to take over right on the Red Tornado 10-yard line. So it's nearly a turnover on downs, but it is going to go in the books as an interception for Spears. But that could have been a lot more. Verano did everything he could to kind of swipe at the ankles of Hoy and force him to step out of bounds.
So we'll see what the Tigers opt to do here. 90 yards in front of them. And it's Wisłowski around the edge. And he's got the corner. Nice tackle made by Farinato, but seems to be the biggest play of the night for either side as Wisłowski gets out to right around the 25, right around the 30 for a gain of 20.
And there is going to be a flag on the far sideline. It's going to be a sideline. I saw the official stumble on the far sideline as I was trying to see where they kind of moved the chains to. And he had ran into somebody on the Tiger sideline. So they're going to, and I don't think this is going to be a warning. I think they're going to take this one back. The official seems pretty adamant that this is going to go back for a sideline infraction.
Yeah, it's a personal foul. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is, and that's.
And I just wonder for that to happen right away. There was a lot of communication between the officials and the coaching staff. I wonder if that was something that was kind of shared beforehand, that, hey, it's really hard to see where everything is.
And another flag late here. So this is going to move the Tigers back again. That's going to be a personal foul on one of the members of the coaching staff of the Southern Columbia Tigers team. And there's still more discussion and jeering coming from the Tiger sideline.
Dan, I think we went all season, and obviously sideline penalties are not common.
No.
And we had one last week, too.
Yeah, so yes, we did.
2 in 2. Well, I guess technically 3 in 2 weeks now, so our average is going up. It'll be an unsportsmanlike. Now, while I'll never advocate for personal fouls, if you got to take one, take it inside the 30.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Kind of mitigate some of the damage there.
Yeah, it's even better. It's kind of like taking an offside penalty when the offense is inside the 1 yard line.
And what's interesting about all this is really because it was all after the play. So it's not behind the sticks, right? It's still going to be
Well, they're discussing it right now, and they're going to get the sticks set where they're supposed to be. It's going to be a 1st and long, or at least it should be, for the Tigers.
Well, I guess at least the first one, perhaps, right?
I think.
Well, it should be
I think both of them. Yeah, because they were both dead ball penalties.
So they should move the sticks back up to the 30.
Although the sideline flag is in the process of the play, the official's running to get the spot. So we'll have to see where it ends up.
So they're just going to say 1st and 10 from the 7.5. So
and that's
not the worst thing that could happen for the Tigers.
No, yeah, that's unfortunate for the Red Tornadoes there.
Yeah.
You want them to have 1st and long instead of 1st and 10.
You give up the 23 yards, but you keep your down. This time it's Barnes outside. Good job there by Farinata ultimately stopping it, but the Tigers are back to the 30-yard line, and it's like the whole 2 personal fouls didn't even happen.
Yeah, they get the yardage back that quickly, and again, that's the danger of this Tigers offense is, Wisłowski and Barnes. We talked about that two-headed monster. If they can get to the sidelines, if they can get to the outside, they're going to find some room. And you see they're sending Hoy super, super wide, which is looks like Schultz, at least on the wide side of the field, the last line of defense.
Now they bring Wisłowski out that way again, and it'll be tackled by Bailey for a short gain.
Really nice play there by Bailey, but credit to Schultz. I just mentioned it. He was the last line of defense there, and he did everything in his power. They were trying to hook him. They were trying to turn him inside to let Wisłowski get that crease, and he didn't let him have it. He kept the outside leverage and turned the Wisłowski back inside.
You see some of the changes here for the Red Tornadoes. It's 2nd and about 6 around the 34, 35-yard line. The Tigers will be tight in this set. They give it up the middle. There's nothing there for Barnes.
Did a good job fighting forward for a couple there. But it's still going to be a 3rd down. And Red Tornadoes, again, you see the Tigers go tight. The Red Tornadoes go to a 5-3 defense there. 5 down defensive linemen and 3 linebackers. They bring in Blessing as that 3rd linebacker with Jagodinski and Reed.
Now here's the change back the other way. The Tigers bring in Chrisman and Kozlowski, sorry. 3rd and 3. Barnes off the left side, and he'll have a 1st down.
He's got just enough there. It's a good run, good tough run there by Barnes. But the Red Tornadoes doing a good job kind of hemming that Tiger run game in. If they're able to keep them to 2-3 yards a carry, they're gonna at least make it very difficult for this Tiger offense to gain yardage. So if they can continue to force these running backs inside, it's going to be tough sledding for the Tigers.
And I think given the field conditions, the snow everywhere, every extra snap you have to force a team to take is a benefit. And they're almost on cue. Wisłowski has trouble with the pitch. But a big run for another 1st down. Wait,
and the ball's out,
Jim. The Red Tornadoes are indicating they have it.
And they have the ball.
1st and 10, Red Tornadoes.
And Jim, that's a huge play by the Red Tornado defense. We didn't get to see kind of where it came out. Wisłowski was continuing to fight for yardage. We thought at the end of the play he was going to have the 1st down, but at some point that ball came loose. Right there, he's reaching, and the ball gets taken away. Look, Geary was in there on the tackle, I know, but I didn't get to see who it was that ripped at the ball or punched it out. But either way, it's Red Tornado offense on the field here with a huge takeaway.
The Red Tornadoes make a change, small one albeit, as it's Blessing in for Diaz. First and 10, ball almost right at midfield. Spears is going to throw, and he floats it out to Blessing. A good catch, first down and more. And we'll get a flag here. And I believe this is going to go against the Tigers. And again, this is going to be tough all night, I think, just because
you can't see the boundary.
It's not totally obvious where the boundary is on some of these.
Yeah, you're right about that, Jim.
But nevertheless, the guys in red will take the extra 15.
Absolutely, and again, the Red Tornadoes have been living in Tiger territory, it seems, throughout this entire game so far. The Tigers have stood up. Their defense has tightened up and been tough when they needed to. So the Red Tornadoes, this is going to turn into, sort of a war of attrition. They're going to be trying to fight and fight and fight and get the points. And that they need to do it here with 9:30 left in the first half.
Spears and company look to the sideline. They read their wrist. The ball's at the 22 after the penalty's walked off. And movement on the Tiger side. The Red Tornadoes should pick up another 5.
Yeah, the movement drew the Red Tornadoes off. And now you hear the Red Tornado fans here who have braved the cold tonight. There's not really too many empty seats here at the Silver Bowl. The Red Tornado fans starting to kind of feel that momentum swing and getting into the game here as well.
Got an official timeout here. The play clock went off.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And again, not a huge deal, just kind of, all right, we'll rely on our...
Yeah, you got to keep it on the field.
And so for a quarterback like Spears or Wise on the other side, if you decide you want to really milk it down, just keep an eye on that back official until he puts his hand up. But it's a handoff to Farinado, and he's stuck by Arnold.
Yeah, that's a big play there by Arnold.
Big play. It was 1st and 5. Now it'll be 2nd and about 7 or 8 after a loss on that one.
Yeah, and that's a tough one there for Farinado. As soon as he took the handoff, he ran right into the waiting arms of Arnold. So there's really, I'm not sure if it's an offside pull, if they're kind of pulling to try and bait the defenders away from that. Wherever it is that Arnold's coming from, he's coming free, and he's been making a lot of plays to disrupt that Red Tornado run game.
The Red Tornadoes are trying to pitch it the other way, and Blessing is tripped up by Barnes. And there's just not a lot for the Red Tornadoes on the edge right now.
No, you're right, Jim. And unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, that's kind of been where they've made their money this year. Getting Blessing, getting Diaz, getting Farinado, getting Verano, getting those guys to the edge, getting them to the outside, getting their playmakers the ball in space. But there's no space at this point. The Tigers defense has been doing a really good job in sideline to sideline coverage.
Red Tornadoes are trying to create that space by opening up the offense. They'll go 2 to the left, 1 to the right for Spears. He's got Blessing in sidecar. He sends him out, and he's under pressure immediately. They got the screen set up to Farinado, but it's read by Tuzlewski, who makes a great stop. And again, the Red Tornadoes are facing a 4th and long after the defense comes up with a big stop for them.
Yeah, Jim, I think Tuzlewski was at the corner guarding, face to face, man to man with Farinado, and he just followed Farinado in. He did a really good job kind of staying on his hip, and they weren't able to kind of get that pick on Tuzlewski. He made a really nice play call.
So 4th and 5 from the 19. The Red Tornadoes will go back tight. And the Red Tornadoes are going to call a timeout. They went to a hard count. There was some movement along the Tiger sideline, but not enough to merit a flag. And then Coach Dara took his first time out of the half at the 7:22 mark here in the second quarter. of this scoreless district championship game.
And Jim, the Tigers did a really good job there. That's a tough one. You get the hard count, but it seemed like the defensive linemen weren't even up in their stance. That was just 1 foot forward and back. They stayed balanced. They didn't kind of fall forward on that, which would have been the call to draw the penalty. But the discipline by that Tigers defense, they're not going to get caught with another one of those offsides penalties.
So we'll see what Coach Dara calls here on 4th and 5. Again, we've got the sponsor tonight, the American Legion and Atlas. So we thank them for being able to help us bring this 4th down play and many more to you tonight.
They're changing the play at the line. We do have the play clocks back, and it's winding down.
Spears throws a quick rocket screen to Verano, and he gets up inside. He's going to have a first down. He's still on his feet. A great change at the line by Spears and company for a big first down for the Red Tornadoes. It's going to be 1st and goal, Mount Carmel.
And Jim, it looked as though Verano was going to run right into a defender, but the way that they had that set up, the offensive line came out. Verano got in right behind those offensive linemen, those big bodies up there. I saw everybody. I saw Shimko, I saw Geary, and I saw Lamas out there leading the charge there, and Verano a little extra effort there at the end to get that one down inside the 10.
Blessing in at quarterback here. The ball's right around the 6-yard line. The Red Tornadoes got 4 plays. They need 6 points. It's Blessing off the right side behind Bradley. Good fight. Looked like he made a little more progress than that. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be inside the 5, probably somewhere around the 4, or maybe right at the 5. And Jim, it looked like Blessing had much more than that. I thought he had 3 or 4 yards right off the jump there, but the Tigers defense did a really good job rallying to the football there.
But it's that same look. Blessing and Bradley. It's a high snap. Blessing does a good job bringing it down, but that kind of throws everything off a little bit. I don't know that he's going to lose any yards, but he's not going to gain any either. So now it's 3rd down, and the Red Tornadoes are going to go back to their more traditional offensive set as Bradley and Farinato come out. Spears and Verano go in.
Yeah, now we'll see that no luck there on the Wildcat, 1st and 2nd down. And again, the Red Tornadoes just needing to get some points on the board. Need it.
And the snap hits off Blessing. It looked like the Red Tornadoes were trying to shift around defensively, in the offensive backfield, and they're going to lose another 3 or 4 yards, so it's going to be 4th and goal now from the 10.
And they're going to open things up here again, Jim. You see Farinato come in, Widener come out, so they're going to go back to that spread, and we'll see. They had success on the rocket screen to Verano, so maybe they can get Schultz maybe on something outside if they can kind of bait the Tigers to follow Verano.
10 seconds on the play clock, 4:40 on the game clock. Spears to throw, he floats it in Verano, it's incomplete, but there's a flag on the play. There's a flag on the play. This is going to be against the Tigers. It's going to be at least a defensive holding, if not a pass interference, but it occurs in the end zone.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, you're right, Jim, I'm not sure what the call's going to end up being because it looked like he had Verano hooked. So that usually is something that we see as a hold, but they're going to call PI because the ball was in the air.
Yep. So pass interference.
And that's going to be an automatic 1st down, Jim, or at least it should be. No, they're still 4th down.
And is that And is that the hold versus the PI? The PI is not where the defensive holding would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that one plays out, but as the Red Tornadoes trying to make some changes, they thought they had a first down. They were going to go back to the Wildcat, but the play clock winding down here as they're trying to get set.
It's 4th and goal from the 5 now. Blessing goes out, and they throw the screen again to Verano, and Verano is in! He's in! Touchdown, the Red Tornadoes strike first. Spears to Verano from 5 yards out. It's 6-0 Mount Carmel with 4:27 left in the first half.
And Jim, what a drive from the Red Tornadoes. Couple 4th down conversions, a big pass interference penalty on the Tigers there on a 4th down, and the Red Tornadoes are able to convert it and get the 6 points after 20 minutes into this game. Nearly 20 minutes into the game, just under 4.5 left in the half. They finally are able to push one across after they've spent most of the game in Tiger territory.
And I think we're going to get a flag here against the Tigers. And if they move this ball up, I'd be curious what Coach Darrow... Oh, take that back. They look like they're going to call it against the Red Tornadoes.
Ooh. Yeah, and I think all the pressure from the Tigers may have drawn the Red Tornadoes to move on that one, which is going to make this kick just a little bit more difficult for Jagodinski.
No change from the Red Tornadoes from a decision standpoint here. They'll still let Jagodinski kick.
And you saw they did get the snap off. The snap was a little bit high, but Verano handled it. And we'll see if this one...
It's another high snap. Now Verano's got to try to pick it up. And it'll be recovered by the Tigers, but it'll remain 6-0 Red Tornadoes. And Dan, when you think about it, you talked about it, being almost 19 and a half minutes into gameplay here before we got any points. It's really something when you think about the fact that the Red Tornadoes turned the ball over inside their own 25 about 15 seconds into this game.
Yeah, it actually was exactly 15 seconds into this game, Jim, because I remember looking at the clock, and there was 11:45 on the first play the Red Tornadoes had from scrimmage. They turned the ball over, and now, like you said, 19 and a half minutes into this, we're 4.5 minutes away from halftime here, and the first points are scored. There's been 4 turnovers from both sides today, and each side has an interception and a fumble.
And we saw over the last couple drives, the Tigers started to find some success on the edges of that Red Tornado offense, or excuse me, the edges of that Red Tornado defense by kind of taking a receiver to the field side as opposed to the boundary and spreading him out almost as far as you could get and making whether it's Diaz or Farinato almost irrelevant in the play.
Yeah, and that's been big for the Tigers. It was until the Red Tornadoes kind of flexed out their outside linebackers and or defensive ends, depending on how you look at their defense. They flexed them out, and they did a good job. They weren't getting pinched after that, and they played really good defense and turned everybody inside.
Jagodinski's kick is low. It'll scoot up. It'll be taken by Wisłowski. He'll run through a few tackles and a few more, but a big stop made by Zarski. And we've talked about that night in and night out. The role Zarski plays by shutting down that side of the field, because if he misses that tackle, Wisłowski's going to run for a while.
Absolutely, Jim, and you're right. That's the most important thing that makes a kickoff coverage team successful is staying in your lanes and everybody managing their assignments. When the ball goes on the ground, it's a squib kick. Things get a little hairy. Everybody wants to run to the ball. Everybody wants to make the tackle. But Zarski does a good job staying in his lane and knowing that he has outside contain on that far side, and did a really good job making that play.
1st and 10 from the Tigers. The ball's about the 45, 46-yard line. Wise is going to give it to Madden, who slips down in the backfield.
Jim, that's Arnold at quarterback now.
How about that?
I thought that the quarterback looked a little bit bigger than Wise, and Arnold has a little bit of beef on Wise, and that's kind of how I could tell the difference before we were able to see the numbers.
Get an official timeout here. It looks like there's a problem with the sticks.
And you can't have that. That's the only way we know where the ball is going, Jim.
Madden will slide to a loss of a yard there. But I don't know that I've seen the sticks go down. But while we got a second here, Dan, we talked about Mount Carmel's keys of the game. I don't believe we got a chance to talk about the Tigers.
No, and for Southern Columbia, that their keys to the game are create big plays, make MCA one-dimensional, and be balanced offensively. And you see both teams have some similarities in those keys, but being balanced offensively for the Tigers is a lot different than the Red Tornadoes kind of being balanced offensively, and we'll talk about that as the night goes on.
Arnold's going to keep it himself, but the Red Tornadoes, I think that's Reed that's going to get up off the bottom, who does a nice job of upending Arnold. He'll get a yard, but it'll stay behind the sticks. It's going to be 3rd and 11 from the 45 with 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first half.
Yeah, Jim, we talk about for the Red Tornadoes being balanced offensively, we want them to have a good balance of run and pass. Spears has over 1,000 yards passing, and we've got two guys nearing 1,000 yards rushing for the Red Tornadoes. But for the Tigers, it's more of a Barnes-Wisłowski balance. You want those two guys to get their carries and to get their yards.
It's Wisłowski trying to get that edge. A good job by Reed and Schultz, and then Diaz can come up and make the stop, and it's going to be 4th. We'll see exactly where they mark him. It's going to be 4th. I think he might have lost another yard there. It'll be 4th and 12.
Yeah, Jim, was that Schultz or Reed that was the first one here? We got a really good look at it here. Reed, coming from that linebacker spot, gets a perfect read on his keys. He sees the block downs. He comes outside. He fills the gap. And Wisłowski tries to keep him away with that stiff arm, but Reed sticks with him and keeps widening him out to more defenders. And the Red Tornadoes were able to rally and make a huge, huge stop there on 3rd down.
Red Tornadoes are sending Verano and Farinano back, but they're not really in a true punt return formation. The high snap, and Carter's going to run, and there's nobody to get him. He's going to pick up the 1st down. A huge break there for the Tigers as the errant snap turns into a huge play and a big positive as the Tigers roll on.
Yeah, and Jim, because the Red Tornadoes were sending pressure, when the snap was a little bit high, everybody wanted pressure from the outside. Normally on a regular punt return, there's guys in the middle. You have a middle linebacker there to kind of play that middle area. But because they were sending pressure, no middle linebacker, nobody there, Carter took advantage of it and turned it into a big play.
And now it's Barnes. The ball's on the turf.
And I think the Tigers did get on it, Jim. Looked like there was a Tiger lineman there right away.
And if you're on the Red Tornado sideline now, I think what you need to kind of work on and talk through is, hey, we've been able to stop this offense. Sure, we thought we were going to get off the field, but just do what we've done and force another punt. And at this point as well, the clock starts to be a little bit of an enemy of the Tigers. We're under 1:15, and the ball's still around the 40-yard line. It's Wisłowski again off the side, and that time.
And there's the flag.
Yep. So we're gonna have a Wisłowski touchdown here, but we're gonna relax because there was a block in the back that occurred right in front of the official. He saw it right away.
I think they're gonna call a hold actually on that.
Okay. One way or the other.
Looked like Schultz got hooked. You can see it here. It's Reed actually. Reed gets completely spun around.
Yeah.
On the hold. And that's a huge, huge change there.
So, and I think that goes back to, again, that's what we were talking about. That's the goal of splitting the defense out like this, right? Is get Wisłowski on the edge. He's got to beat one guy, right? Or you have to get a hat on one guy. And when the Tigers have been able to do that, they've had success.
Right.
When the Red Tornadoes have been able to kind of shake that block and make a tackle in space, Mount Carmel's had success.
Or, in this case, Reed doing such a good job fighting to the outside. The only way that they can keep Reed off of Wisłowski was by completely spinning him around with a hold. So that's another huge play. And that's a tough one for the Tigers. After, you think, you hear the eruption of the Tiger sideline, the Tiger crowd, because Wisłowski trots his way into the end zone just to be brought back by the penalty.
So now we're back, 1:02 left. The ball's back to the 48. It's 2nd and 13. But again, absent a big play, it's the the time is the problem here too. But Barnes has the corner again, and he steps over Red Tornado. Inside another one, he's still on his feet. Bailey's gonna drop him finally, but not before a huge play, and the Tigers are down inside the 10 with 52 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, Jim, it looked as though a couple Red Tornadoes, as they were coming up on that outside, they kind of took each other out. There were a few Red Tornadoes that kind of ran into each other coming in, and Barnes does a good job. Again, we talked about how tough it is to stay in bounds because you don't really know where the sideline is. Barnes did a good job getting to the sideline, but knowing where he was on the field.
And give Bailey credit there. Bailey tracked Barnes all the way down the field.
Yeah, he did. He did a really good job. But again, now the Tigers with this, 50, just under 52 seconds to go, threatening.
And you watch this, and it almost is one of those things where it's almost too obvious in the sense that what are the Tigers doing? Well, they're running where the Red Tornadoes have the fewest number of defenders, right? It seems super obvious, and it requires good blocking from the Tigers side.
Yeah.
It requires the running backs to have the vision. So it's not nearly as simple as they're making it look, but from just a strategical standpoint, yeah, you run where they're not.
Yeah, we've talked about the prowess of this Red Tornado offensive and defensive line all year. The only way you're going to have success if you want to run the ball is to run away from them. Try and pin them inside and get to the outside.
Now we've got, not sure what we've got actually. Oh, I think we have another problem with the far stick.
But then there's a discussion here with a few of the officials.
Well, and they're talking to Mr. Sakavage, the Mount Carmel athletic director, so I'm wondering if they're asking, hey, do you have another one? This one keeps breaking.
Yeah, that could be. And you know what? You're probably right, because you see equipment manager Eric Schlegel down there kind of getting up and moving.
But whenever we get back in here, oh, and look, we have him coming from the sideline. Now the kids try to bring him all the way across the field, I think. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I think they want him to hustle him across the field, and then they're going to say, we're going to run this play.
Oh, now they're sending him. Now they're stopping.
Good little game.
All right, well, we are going to run the play.
Green light here.
It's 1st and 10 from the 12 for the Tigers. That's Barnes again. Good stop there by the Red Tornadoes. Looks like Reed. Is that, who's getting up off the bottom there? Is that Verano?
Yeah, that is Verano. And again, Barnes runs really tough. The Tigers up on the ball quickly. The Red Tornadoes trying to sub, and they have to take a timeout. The Red Tornadoes trying to get that substitution in there, that wholesale change, and they just couldn't get it in quickly with the Tigers getting up on the ball so quick, so they had to waste another timeout.
And Coach Darr's upset. I think his concern is that the Tigers substituted there.
Yeah, which, again, if that's the case, the official needs to stand over the ball and not allow them to snap it.
And I think that's what his concern was. Again, we get a great look. Thank you again, WKMC TV Student Run TV studio, providing those terrific angles all night, the replays, all of the above, and
yeah, that's such a good angle. That was like directly in the gap that Barnes was running through.
Hey, you want to try something here? Was that camera 4?
Yeah, I think that was.
Is that camera 4? I wonder if camera 4 can see us at some point here. Maybe the second half.
Yeah.
It's a little busy right
now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of action going on down here.
2nd and goal from the 5. 2nd and 10 from, excuse me. 2nd and 5 from the 10. Let's try that again, Dan. Yeah, maybe the 9.
It's somewhere around there.
Arnold brings Madden in motion. He's going to hand it to him. And it's a sprint to the corner. Farinato does a good job holding down his side, and he stops him in bounds.
It's a huge play by Farinato, and you see no substitution this time. Everybody's up on the ball. Coach Roth doesn't want to use his timeout as the clock ticks down here under 20 seconds.
It's 3rd down. Arnold gives it to Barnes, and Barnes has the corner, and he's in. He gets around the Red Tornado end And with 8 seconds left in the first half, the Tigers knotted at 6 with the extra point still to come.
Yeah, and again, this is one that the Red Tornadoes are going to have to go after, Jim. You got to go after this extra point. You got to hope there's a little bit of trouble with the snap, or you can get somebody in there quick off the edge. You know, we usually see, I think it's, we always see Nestico ends up being the guy that blocks these kicks, it seems like, coming from the inside. But you're going to have some of your speed guys on the outside coming to get this.
Yeah, Carter, for what it's worth, he doesn't often miss. Carter 51 of 57 on the season. It's a high snap, but it's good. And the Tigers are going to take the lead 7-6 with 8 seconds left here in the first half. And I think if you're the Red Tornadoes, you're looking at this and you feel like, with the exception of those last couple plays, you played really well this half.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a tremendous half defensively. Like you said, it was a heck of a drive there for the Tigers to punch that one in, aided by a couple of big plays. And now the Tigers, again, 8.1 seconds left here in the half, looking like they're poised to take a lead into the half, barring the Red Tornadoes taking this one back.
Red Tornadoes again, it'll be Diaz and Verano back deep. Farinano will be just a couple yards in front of them. Carter kicking off for the Tigers, and it's just as likely that the Red Tornadoes don't get a chance to return this as it is that they do. As in addition to his extra points, Carter also has 17 touchbacks on the season.
That's pretty impressive.
See where this one goes. It'll be a liner, a little knuckleball. It's going to bounce. Diaz will pick it up on a hop around the 7-yard line. He's going to try to get the edge, nowhere to go. Nice coverage there by the Tigers. And the Red Tornadoes have to snap it once here with a shade under 3 seconds to go in the half.
And again, I think if you're the Red Tornadoes, you don't want anything to go awry here. This far down with this little time, so you're pretty content with taking the snap and kneeling on this ball.
I don't know that we've seen the Red Tornadoes take a knee all season, Dan.
I don't think we have.
I was just thinking about that. I think if they do, this would be the first time, but I'm not convinced they will. Nope, they're going to hand it to Farinano, try to get something going. Nowhere to go for Farinano. And so that's how the first half will end. With a handoff to Farinano as the clock hits 0. It is 7-6 Tigers here at the Silver Bowl in the PIAA Class 2A District 4 Championship matchup. And we will be back in just a few moments with stats from Jose, as well as a couple visitors to tell us about some fun stuff going on just off the field. So stay with us, stay tuned, and we will be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Silver Bowl for the second half of the district championship game. We're about to get started, but before we do, we have three members of the cheerleading squad here that we wanted to ask a few questions, talk about a little bit. So can we start off and get your names?
I'm Leah Shedleski.
Rachel Witkoski.
Avery Daukus.
Great. So thank you guys so much for being up here. We talk so much kind of about what goes on in the field, right? But we try to recognize that it's cold for you guys too. So how are you managing kind of the elements out there? Because I can see the track. It looks like it's pretty slick.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, but we're doing the best we can. We've been kind of following the football players and cheering them on since we can't do many of our stunts today because of the conditions, sure. But we're having a great time and making the most of it.
Luckily, we're trying to stay active with our cheering, and that's kind of warming us up, and yeah.
Yeah, we definitely decided to layer a lot. I'm pretty sure half of us have probably 5 shirts on and 3 pair of pants. So that definitely helps.
So you got the hot chocolate too, right? You got
I needed this.
Shout out the concession stands for tonight.
Yes.
But this isn't all you do, right? And after the football season ends, whenever it might be, I think is it competitive? Is that what we're starting here?
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 years ago we started a competitive cheerleading team at Mount Carmel area, and we were all involved on the first ever competitive cheer team. So our season's coming up, so after this, the MCA cheerleaders are not done. Our season continues.
We're hoping to be district champs again, defend our title, and we're hoping to place top, 6th at states. We placed 9th last year, which really is pretty good for it being only our second year ever doing it. Like our sophomore year, we went in with not knowing anything what to expect, and then our junior year, we really stepped it up. So senior year, we're hoping for even better.
That's awesome. So when does that season kind of start? Well, does it wait for football to end, or does it pick up? Is there a date?
It does wait for sideline cheer to end, but we start practicing for competition cheer already.
Yeah.
So we start doing our routine and just late night practices and getting everything organized and together just so we can perform when the time comes.
Now, do you get to make use of any of that here when maybe the conditions are a little bit better, or during pep rallies? Like, is there any stuff, are you able to do any practicing then?
We usually try to do some of the stunts that we're going to do in our competition on the sideline just to get us ready to perform in front of a crowd, because I know for a lot of girls they never perform in front of a crowd before, like a competition. So doing the stunts under pressure definitely helps during the games to get us prepared.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and I think we're going to get started here again, so I don't want to keep you girls too much longer because I know you've got a job to do back down on the sideline. So is there anything else you want to let kind of the people, the viewership know about?
That's everything. Go Big Red.
Yeah, go Big Red.
Thank you so much
for interviewing us.
Oh my goodness, thank you guys so much for coming up. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Have a great second half.
You too. Stay warm.
Yeah, good luck. Right, so thank you so much to the MCA cheerleaders that were kind enough to join us here as we get the second half started. Thank you to Coach Sandra Niglio for letting them come up and help us. And Dan, we got you back now.
Yeah.
So I think we can dive into some stats here. Again, it's 7-6 Tigers. And Jose, as always, has come through and provided us with some stats to provide some context to that score.
Yeah, Jim, you're right. Jose, thank you so much for getting these stats to us, as you always do. So looking at the Red Tornado stats that we talked about, it, the 7-6 game has been tough sledding for both offenses. So these stats kind of highlight that. So we'll look at it here. The Red Tornadoes currently 20 rushing attempts for 7 yards.
Excuse me, what?
Yes, 20 carries, 7 yards. 5 of 6 passing for 44 yards. So the Red Tornadoes, 51 total yards of offense, 5 first downs and 6 points on the board. You look on the other side of the clip, Southern Columbia Area Tigers, 20 carries for 106 yards.
Oh, goodness.
That aided by a couple big runs from the Tigers. 1 of 2 passing for -5 yards, so 101 total yards, and that's 7 on the scoreboard. That extra point being the difference here in that first half.
So what's odd, maybe it's not odd, but in a game like tonight where it's snow-covered, the ball's hard, it's slippery, and for a game where we've had some fumbles on both sides,
Yeah.
if those numbers you shared, if I heard them right, we don't have an incomplete, we haven't had a pass where the ball hit the turf yet, right? Because Spears is 5 of 6.
Yep,
He's got
with
the
one interception. Yep.
And Wise, or the Tiger, I think Wise, I don't think Arnold's thrown a pass.
No, I think it's
so
been
Wise
Wise.
was 1 of 2 with an interception.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so you're right. There has not been a ball hit the ground after it's been put in the air.
Right.
You know, in the passing game, there's been a few balls hit the ground in the rushing game few recovered by the offending team, and a few recovered by the defense. One apiece, actually.
So again, welcome. You know, we're happy you're back with us. We're going to get started here. We also want to once again thank the American Legion and Atlas for their support tonight. Sponsor of tonight's District 4 Class 2A championship game here at the Silver Bowl.
Now we'll see, Jim. These are tough games to come out of halftime. You're cold, you go in the locker room, you get warm, and you got to come right back out into the cold. So we'll see. You see everybody kind of jumping around, trying to stay warm. I'm doing the same up here as we get this second half started.
Low bouncing kick from Yagodinsky. It's going to be taken by Barnes at around the 20. He's got some space. He's come across the field, and he's stuck by Blessing, but a good return nevertheless out to about the 40-yard line. Yeah, it seems though there was a lot of attention paid to the field there during halftime. We've actually got a lot some good shoveling work done out there, and we will see this Red Tornado defense looking to make a stand after the Tigers put together a nice drive to end the first half and get those 7 points on the board. You think about how good the field looks right now, and hold on. Red Tornado's tee was still on the field. But how good the field looks right now under a little bit of snow, and how great it looked last week after all that rain. Certainly thanks to the groundskeepers.
Absolutely.
As well as anybody here who chipped in at the half to shovel 2 shovel lengths across the yard markers. Barnes at the edge, there's nothing there. He fights forward, and there's a flag. Not sure if that's going to be a face mask or not.
Yeah, we'll have to see the call here, but that's the Red Tornadoes defense before the flag. Like I said, we'll see what the call is, but Red Tornado defense did a really good job stringing Wisłowski out all the way to the sideline, not giving him anything.
And that's what it was. It was a personal foul, face mask. So the Tigers will start the second half with good field position, and it'll get a little bit better here as they'll add 15 to the end of that run.
Yeah, so now they'll be in Red Tornado territory after one play from scrimmage. 15 seconds into the first half, the Tigers had taken a turnover from the Red Tornadoes. Now 14 seconds in here, they're in Red Tornado territory after one play.
It's Barnes again, and he's in the open field trying to shake off Farinado. Not able to do it, but still a big run from Barnes no less.
Yeah, Farinado does a really good job there of hanging on and hanging on long enough to have Diaz come and help with that tackle.
It's 1st and 10 around the 25-yard line, 26 maybe.
And this is what the Red Tornadoes have to be worried about, these home run hitters for the Tigers, Wisłowski and Barnes.
And it's Wisłowski, and he slips there. Looks like he'll get right back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and 10. Footing continues to kind of play a role here, Dan.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. It's tough. We talked about it. Wisłowski, Barnes, and even the backs for the Red Tornadoes. They're speed guys. They rely on quick cuts and finding the right seam and putting their foot in the ground and planning. And it's hard to do here.
Barnes off the right side. He'll put his head down. Nice job. Looks like Verano was in there. He's getting up off the bottom of the pile.
It looked like Schultz as well. Yeah. But again, with the slip up by Barnes on the first down play, puts the Tigers in a 3rd down, and mass substitution here again for the Red Tornadoes. We're going to see 5 down defensive linemen.
3rd and 5. They give it to Madden. He's going to try to get the edge. Leaps over a Red Tornado defender. He's going to be close to a 1st down.
And I think he's going to have it, Jim.
Yep, there it is. 1st and 10 Tigers.
And that's a tough one because it looked like the Red Tornadoes had that one hemmed in right away. But Madden, give him credit, kept fighting and kind of found just the smallest of creases there along the sideline to turn that into a conversion.
Well, we've seen that twice now where Tiger running backs have gone over the top of Red Tornado defenders that are going low. to extend plays. Barnes up the middle. That's a quick handoff, and he's very close. He'll be inside the 5, down to maybe the 2-yard line for another first down for the Tigers, as they threaten to strike early here in the third quarter.
Yeah, the Tigers' offense coming out of the half looking lethal here, moving the ball at will against this Red Tornado defense. And again, we see the wholesale substitution here to shore up that interior Red Tornado defensive line.
Arnold's going to keep it himself.
He's going to be stopped
like he's
short.
Down. Second and goal from inside the 1.
Yeah, Jim, it's not easy to do it for a quarterback sneak, again, in the conditions on the field, because that's all kind of leg drive. You're trying to just push over the top of your offensive lineman, and it's hard to keep your footing. You try to keep pumping your legs as your legs are, want to go out from underneath you.
Arnold turns around and he hands it to Barnes, and he stood up right at the goal line. They're saying he's not in yet. So now it'll be 3rd and goal and maybe a foot when they finally set this ball.
Yeah, he's going to be about as close gets. And you're going to see that the safety's coming out, and they send in basically two linebackers for this 3rd and extremely close.
Yeah, that interior defensive line, it's Shimko, Widener, and Geary are all almost right over the center.
Yeah, it's like used to call that tight gap.
Arnold turns around and he hands it. And this time, I think it's Madden is in, and it's 13-6 Tigers with 7:29 left in the third quarter. Tigers bring Carter out to attempt the extra point.
Isaac Carter off for the point after attempt.
Now we get an official.
Looks like there's an issue with where the ball's aligned.
Okay.
Seemed like they were saying that it wasn't lined up directly in the middle of the goalpost there.
Carter's kick is up and good. And so 14-6 Tigers. They take an 8-point lead here. Not quite midway through the third quarter. Back at the Silver Bowl District Championship game. The winner of tonight's matchup will move on to the first round of the state playoffs to face the winner of Bishop Guilfoyle and Penns Valley, which would be the District 11 champion.
Yes. And again, Jim, this you see a little huddle here from the Red Tornado kick return team. At this point in the game, you just saw the Tigers offense kind of move the ball as they please there on that first drive here, the second half. So not only are the Red Tornadoes obviously going to be looking to put points on the board with this drive, but ball security is key. You don't want to give the ball back to an offense that is kind of in gear.
Right. Carter's kick is a knuckler. Diaz will field it on a hop at the 12. And there's nowhere to go. All kinds of white jerseys got through. The first man on scene, it looked like, was number 30, Ryan Kerstetter. And the Red Tornadoes are going to start the drive around the 25-yard line.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. And again, it's the field conditions. You see Diaz, it looked like he wanted to plant and kind of try and make a move on Kerstetter there, but as he tried to stick his foot in the ground, he slid into the waiting arms of Kerstetter.
So we'll see how the Red Tornadoes respond. It's the first real offensive drive trailing. It starts with Spears running, and he's going to be stopped by Treshok. A nice play for no gain.
Again, the Red Tornadoes just haven't seemed to be able to get anything going running the ball. And as you see, Coach Dara realizing that, Farinado goes in and Widener comes out, and they're going to open things up. And I think this is where the Red Tornadoes need to go. There's no Tiger defender more than 3 yards off the ball. So if you can get somebody behind the defense, that's where you need to be.
Red Tornadoes shift the formation a bit. Diaz goes out. They set up the screen, and it's almost intercepted. Looked like there was some miscommunication there all around. Farinado was running a pattern, but he was the only Red Tornado receiver close to the ball.
Yeah, and that, again, that's a tough one for the Red Tornadoes. This is not, 13 weeks in the season, this is in a tight matchup here, not where you want to have miscommunications like that.
So it's 3rd and 10. Again, the Tiger offense appears to be picking up some momentum, so the Red Tornadoes desperately need to get something going. Spears slings it out to Verano, but a great play made by Barnes, and in terms of difference from the Week 8 matchup, Barnes is it.
Yeah, absolutely, he has been. He's got the first half touchdown run, and now he's been making an impact all game on defense, and it's been a huge difference here for the Tigers. And again, after the offense comes out and puts together a nice drive and puts 7 points on the board to start the second half, the defense stands up and gets a quick 3 and out.
Good punt from Yagodinsky. Bounce away from from Wisłowski. It's going to be out of bounds right about the 31-yard line or so. It'll be 1st and 10 Tigers from there, and the Red Tornado defense needs to make a play.
Yeah, Jim, we're only about halfway through this third quarter, but it seems like that just because of all the difficulties with the field conditions and the issues that the Red Tornadoes have been having, kind of turning their drives into points, you have to keep this at a one-score game if you're the Red Tornadoes.
Wisłowski off the right side, and he's got space now in what I believe to be a Tiger first down.
Yeah, I believe you're going to be right.
And you can see the Tigers starting to exert their will against this Red Tornado defense. And again, we kind of saw that as the first half wore on.
Yeah, we have, and you're right. They kind of punctuated that with that touchdown with 8 seconds left in the half.
Now it's Barnes, and it'll be undercut by Reed, finished off by Verano and Bailey, but still a gain of about 4.
And this is...
All right. So Barnes was down for an extended period of time to create an injury timeout, but fortunately he popped up and will make his way to the sideline under his own power.
Yeah, and with that, you see, I believe it was Biermas come into the game.
And with the change in personnel for the Tigers, the Red Tornadoes tried to respond in kind. 2nd and 6. Arnold under center. He's going to keep it himself around the end. A nice job of Yagodinsky giving him the edge. Now a big pile out of bounds, but again, that was a little bit of everybody that kept that pile going, white jerseys and red alike, so the officials won't call any penalty.
Yeah, I think that's a good no call there by the officials. They're letting these guys play. And you're right, everybody's trying to push. Again, it's so hard to see the boundary out there sometimes, and you don't really know where, and with all the sounds and everything going on in the field, you can't always hear that whistle.
3rd and 3. Again, the Tigers' offense has been rolling. The Red Tornadoes need a stop. Arnold to Wisłowski behind Biermas, and he's got the edge. And now it's a foot race. Can Schultz get him? He can't. It's a touchdown, Tigers. 50 yards, Wisłowski. And that opens the score up to 20-6, and it's a 2-possession game for the Tigers with Carter's extra point pending.
Yeah, and that's a huge play there. And you know, we talked about it all game long, that the Tigers were just waiting to finally be able to kind of get the edge for Barnes or Wisłowski, and Wisłowski got it there, and he turned it into a very quick 6 points to extend this to a 2-score lead for the Tigers.
Good kick from Carter, 21-6 Tigers with 4:34 left in the third quarter of this Class 2A District 4 Championship game. It's a WKMC TV broadcast. And again, tonight's sponsor is the American Legion and Atlas.
And again, Jim, if I'm on that Red Tornado sideline, I'm stressing that there is so much time left in this game. There's over 16 and a half minutes left to play in this game. So you can't shut it down. You can't pack it in. It's too early. There's too much game left. But you need an answer. You know, the offense needs to come out and get points on the board on this drive.
And the Tigers have really blitzed the Red Tornadoes here in the sense that they scored for the first time with 8 seconds left in the first half.
Yes.
That was their first time they crossed the goal line. And now here we are, again, 7.5 minutes through the third quarter, and they've struck twice again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's what this offense is capable of. This Tigers offense with their home run hitters at the running back position. You know, and they've had to put the ball in the air twice to accumulate 21 points.
Carter walks it off again. Diaz, Verano, and Farinado back deep. Carter waits. He gets his confirmation. And he drives this one deep to Diaz. Will take it at around the 7-yard line. And he's got some space for the first time tonight as he gets out around the 35-yard line. It's really the first time we've seen Diaz operate in any kind of space tonight, Dan.
Yeah, and when he does get the space, you see the explosiveness that he has. I mean, he was able to kind of shed off an arm tackle and hit another gear. But just unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, the Tigers in good position there at the second level of that kick coverage to stop Diaz from going all the way.
Quick hitch is caught by Farinado. So nice effort there. Ball is a little bit wide. Gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
Yeah, it's a really good job by Farinado coming back and getting that ball. But I think this is what the Red Tornadoes need to do. They have to kind of soften up the Tiger defense to give some room to that stout running attack.
And it's intercepted. Spears is intercepted by Hoy.
And
It's going to be 1st and 10 Tigers going the other way.
Wow, Jim. It looked as though Verano got pushed as that ball was coming out of Spears' hand, but no flag on the play. And we'll get a good look at it here. And credit to Hoy for being in the right position there and coming in and securing the catch. But again, that's a huge play for the Tigers defense to give this offense that's humming the ball back.
And He was in on the defense as well, but Barnes is back in. Always a welcome sight for the Tigers as he takes the carry to about the 40-yard line for the Tigers. It'll be a gain of right around 5.
Yeah, we'll see. At this point, for the Red Tornado defense, you want to try and you got to get your hands on these Tiger backs, and you've got to start ripping at the ball. You want to. It's a game where possession is everything. You need to have the ball, so you need to create a turnover.
Here comes Arnold now. Nice play by Reed and Schultz staying home. They'll give Arnold maybe half a yard. It's going to be 3rd and, again, still about 5.
Yeah, it's a really good play there on the outside there by Reed and Schultz. They did a good job staying home. There's no bite at all on the fake. They knew Arnold was keeping that the whole way.
Slosky in motion. They fake it to him and give it to Barnes up the middle. Nice play made by Geary.
It's going to be a 4th down and very short.
So big play made by Geary to force the 4th down. And the Tigers certainly going to roll with it here.
Yeah, and you see, with that being kind of a foregone conclusion here for the Tigers, the Red Tornadoes going to bring in the beef.
Arnold under center. He's got that traditional wing tee. All 3 backs behind him. And he's going to give it to Wisłowski, who's going to get over. I think he's going to have a 1st down.
Yeah, I think so too, Jim. I think that they're going to have to look exactly where they spot it, but I think it's going to be a 1st down without any need to measure.
Well,
and now we see the official.
So, yeah, in the midst of all this, the ball carrier, Wisłowski, is down. So we're going to tend to Wisłowski. And after that point, we may get a measurement here because they haven't made a signal one way or the other yet. So here we go.
Thankfully, Wisłowski is able to walk off the field under his own power.
Again,
but you're right, Jim. We are going to get a measurement.
And this is not the NFL. We're not going to get a replay based on, after this call here. So they'll get the ball set just so. Eyeballing this one, Dan.
Yeah, I think so. This is a tough one to see, at least from our angle.
All right, now we bring the chains out. And a whole lot hinges on a couple links of chain here.
You're right. As two teams' hopes of playing next week sort of hangs in the balance.
Sideline's about to erupt, and oh my goodness, it's a 1st down by over the length of the football. It wasn't even particularly close. So 1st and 10 Tigers. They'll roll on here. Now down inside the 35.
And inside 2 minutes remaining in this 3rd quarter.
Some changes going all around. I think the officials sent Wisłowski to the sideline and they said, hey, that was an official timeout. You still got to sit out and play.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. But the good thing for the Tigers, at least, is that Wisłowski was back in that huddle.
This time it's Barnes off the right side. And he'll get down near the 30, give him 4, 2nd and 6. Again, the Tigers lead the Red Tornadoes 21-6 here at the Silver Bowl in the District 4 Class 2A championship game. This WKMC TV broadcast is sponsored by the American Legion in Atlas. Barnes is directly behind Arnold in the wing. Wisłowski comes in motion. They'll give it to him off the right side. He's going to weasel his way through there. It'll be close to a first down, depending on just where he stepped out of bounds.
I think it. See, from back here, it looked like they had him out short, but depending on where that flag fell, I think that he's going to have he is going to be just a bit short.
So it'll be 3rd and a yard. But again, if you're the Tigers, you don't mind picking up 3rd and shorts or 4th and a foot every chance you get at this point, as you continue to milk that clock and take away opportunities for the Red Tornado offense. That's Barnes for a first down.
And he's hit quickly, but unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, that's Nestico makes a really nice tackle there. Quick on Barnes, but unfortunately with how close they were to the sticks, it's still going to be a Tiger first down. And the Tigers, as you see this, getting closer and closer to the end of the 3rd quarter, they're in no real hurry to get the play in to get up to the line.
If the Tigers so choose, this could possibly be the last play of the 3rd quarter as they hand it to Wisłowski off the right side. He'll be stopped inside the 20. But again, inbounds and with no first down, the clock will continue to run under 12 seconds and more.
Yeah, the Tigers will take this to the quarter.
And so that's going to do it here. So at the end of 3, the Red Tornadoes trail the Tigers 21-6. Again, you never count the Tigers out, but this is an interesting occurrence here. Again, the Red Tornadoes come into tonight's matchup as the number 1 seed, undefeated 12-0, winning matchups over the first 12 weeks of the season by an average of 31 points.
Yeah.
And here we have the Tigers with a 2-score lead, and perhaps more surprising, Dan, the Red Tornadoes, we talked about this prolific offense, scoring nearly 45 a game coming into week 13 here.
Yeah.
Are stuck on 6 and have been since early in the first half.
Yeah, you're right, Jim, and that's just a testament to the Tiger defense. I mean, I think we've talked about it throughout the last few weeks, and we pretty much talk about it every year. It seems like that this game is almost a foregone conclusion. You look at the schedule for the year, and you always circle the Southern Columbia regular season game, and after they play such a hard-fought matchup between the two teams, you look and say they're going to see each other again in the district playoffs, and normally it does end up in this district championship game, as it has so many times before, and it's hard to beat a team twice. It's very difficult to do.
Arnold to Barnes. He should pick up another first down, I believe. Nope. All right, looks like they're going to say short.
No, the official on this side is going to give him a first down.
Okay. It looked like one. I thought I was a little premature there, but somebody. There we go. All right.
They are going to move the chains. Yeah, and that's another Tiger first down, as they just seem to. The Red Tornado defense doing a good job on this drive, not allowing the big play, but they are just the Tigers have been able to put together consistent rushing success here.
That time Wisłowski off the right side, short gain, but you're right, Dan, and I think you talked about it coming in that the Red Tornadoes couldn't give up big plays.
Right.
And I would say thus far the 2 big plays were the 4th down conversion by Carter off the high snap, and obviously the 50-yard touchdown run by Wisłowski.
Yeah, absolutely, and that 50-yard touchdown run, or the 4th down conversion by Carter, turning into the Tigers' touchdown before the half, and that 50-yard touchdown run extending the Tigers' lead to 2 touchdowns.
Barnes up the middle. And the Tigers do have an opportunity to get a first down here. I don't think Barnes got it there, but he's close. It's going to be 3rd and a yard or 2.
And again, you're right. This Tiger offense is built for these, third down, fourth down, and short yardage situations, because, we talk about the speed of Wisloski and Barnes and the likes, of Madden as well. But we also, we don't really highlight it too much, but the power. These guys are tough running up the middle, especially in this straight T offense.
And there's Madden, and he's got the edge, and it's another Tiger touchdown. 27-6, and they're running away with it. Literally running, Dan.
Yeah.
All on the ground, you said. They haven't thrown a pass yet this half, and we expected that.
Yeah, they haven't had to, Jim. At this point, they found kind of the recipe for this Red Tornado defense, and they've executed exactly what they've needed to do. And that's a testament to the big guys up front, all the way back to the running backs reading their blocks and knowing where to go.
And again, I think anybody that's watched the Tigers over the years, Carter's kick is up and good. Anybody that's watched the Tigers over the years realizes, I think, that holding them down from scoring off any points on the offensive side of the ball is always going to be difficult.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You're not going to shut the Tigers out. Again, the Red Tornadoes played a great game. They intercepted Wise 5 times a few weeks back,
yes.
And the Tigers still scored 21 points.
Yeah, and
so you were never going to do that, but I think the bigger surprise here is how the Red Tornadoes have looked on offense.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. And we talked about, you mentioned it earlier, just how prolific this offense has been throughout this year. I mean, the most points scored over a 12-game season. And, coming into week 13, they had an opportunity to overtake the 2008 team for the most points scored in a 13-game season. And I know they were very close. So even with the 6, they may have still eclipsed that mark. But this team, like you said, averaging 40-plus points a game. And the Tigers' defense holding the Red Tornado offense. And it's been their rushing attack. Spears has done a great job. All the quarterbacks have done a great job throwing the ball throughout the year, keep making this kind of a dual threat offense. But it's been the rushing game that's carried them most of the way, and they just have not been able to get anything going.
Diaz takes it on a fly, has trouble with it, and he'll put a knee down as he tries to pick it up, unfortunately. So it'll be a longer field here for the Red Tornadoes than even expected.
Yeah.
As it'll be 1st and 10 from their own 11. But yeah, Dan, you're right, and I think what's tough to kind of work through here is the Red Tornadoes came out with this idea of being two-dimensional.
Yeah.
We can throw it and we can run it. And at the end of the first half, 20 carries for 7 yards. I've never questioned Jose before, and I won't do it again, but I thought, is that right? And we kind of confirmed that, yeah, that's the deal. And there, Spears' pass is tipped and almost intercepted. But that was that's how out of character that number is.
You're absolutely right, Jim. And I think with the Red Tornadoes, just it's how difficult it's been for them to get anything going. I mean, obviously the elements play a part. You're not anticipating playing a game in the snow here, but it's just the Tigers have showed up.
Spears throws. He's got Schultz running open. So big play. Schultz making Tigers miss. It'll be tackled. It'll be inside Tiger territory. So the Red Tornado offense shows a sign of life for the first time in the second half. It's a big completion from Spears to Schultz.
Yeah, Jim, Spears did a really good job kind of escaping the pocket that was collapsing on him there and getting outside and finding Schultz. He kept his eyes downfield. He didn't tuck it and run right away. Kept his eyes downfield, and the Red Tornadoes are up on the ball.
Spears to throw again. Takes a big shot as he looks for Diaz. And we'll get a pass interference here against the Tigers. It was pretty good coverage. The defender just didn't get his head around to go after the ball, and they're going to call that every time.
Yeah, that's one of those face guarding penalties, and you can't. Unfortunately, you're right. Fedorov did a good job. He kind of saw Diaz coming out of the backfield. He ran with him and did a really good job, but just did not. Every time you hear that, you as a defender, you want to hear pass and ball, and if you're in coverage, you hear ball, you want to get your head turned around and find it. Unfortunately, I didn't hear ball called out. Fedorov wasn't able to get his head turned around, and that's going to be a penalty every time, like you said, Jim.
And gives the official that threw the penalty, you don't always see it, but he kind of went right up to Fedorov, and I think he explained to him exactly why he threw the flag.
And that's a good teaching moment, and credit to the official for taking advantage of it.
And as we're watching the ball and the flag and all the above, Spears took a shot from Arnold.
He did.
Who's coming hard now that the Red Tornadoes are in this position where they have to throw, and Schultz is now in at tight end. He's tighter in, so we'll see if we give him a shot. They're going to roll Spears away from him. He's got Verano for a first down out of bounds. Well,
I think he's going to be just short.
Yeah, good call, Dan.
But again, that's a good job there. You're right. They brought Spears in to kind of protect, or Schultz in to protect Spears' blind side, and gave Spears the ability there to roll to the wide side of the field and find Verano on that quick little comeback route for a nice gain. And the Red Tornadoes, again, now that they've got their passing game moving a little bit here, they've been able to eat up some yards on this drive.
They hand it to Farinado, and he's got space for the first time tonight. And it's a foot race. Wisłowski rips at the ball. He can't bring Farinado down, so he's in from 27 yards out. It's 28-12 Tigers with 9:18 remaining in the fourth quarter.
And Jim, this is what we were expecting to see from the Red Tornadoes. Soften the defense up with the passing game and then hit them with the run game and strike. And as you see now, the Red Tornadoes staying out there for the 2-point conversion, because this is a 16-point game currently.
Spears will stay out there, so it'll be a traditional set from the Red Tornadoes. They're going to open it up. Verano and Farinado to the right, Schultz to the left, but it's Spears and Blessing. And the Tigers look like they're ready for anything that might come up the middle.
Yeah, they're still packing it inside.
And it's a quick out, incomplete, so it'll stay at a 16-point game. Good coverage over there by the Tigers. I think that's Hoy. Can't tell if it's 6 or 8.
Yeah, it's either Hoy or Kozlowski, but either way, very good coverage there. Again, as you said, by the Tigers. But now the Red Tornadoes have a decision. You know, there's a lot of time left in this fourth quarter, Jim, but you're still down 2 scores and 2 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
You need to get 8 points on 2 drives just to tie it. You need 2 scores and 2 2-point conversions just to tie it. You can't get a lead. And they haven't been able to stop this Tiger offense in this second half.
So what are you saying?
So I don't think you want to give him the ball back.
Just say it, Dan.
I think it's time for a shot play. No, I think we're going to see. It looks like the Tigers are somewhat prepared for it. They've got some semblance of a hands team out.
You're trying to figure out where the 50 is.
And there's a little discussion, but yeah, they're going to move that first. And the Red Tornadoes trying to get out here quickly until the 50 is discovered by the Tigers, and they're slowly figuring it out here. And you see Yagodinsky lining up. There's no secrecy here that the Red Tornadoes need the ball back, and they don't want to give it back to that Tiger offense. So he's going to line it up and attempt an onside.
And if you're looking for anything positive from the red side of the field, the Red Tornadoes did score quickly. Yagodinsky's kick. Going to get a flag here against the Red Tornadoes.
Yeah, an offside. And Jim, that was shaping up to be a good kick. It looked like it was going to get that big hop.
Like number 5, Braden Andrews for the Tigers, was in a good spot. But yeah, it looked like it could just as likely hop over him.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yagodinski gets another chance, and the Red Tornadoes get another chance. You see, they want to get there as quickly as possible. And you see Schultz, Reed, Chicatano, Farinato, Diaz, all the guys that you want out there on a hands team.
And they're going to get that big hop. It's through the hands, but right into the arms of number 9, Brecken Reamer.
And he does a good job of holding on to that football, too. He covers it up as Reed was bearing down on him and hit him.
Looks like it went through the hands of Hoy there. I mean, it's a perfect onside kick from Yagodinski. You get the big hop.
Yeah.
It got over the initial Tiger trying to catch it.
Yeah, couldn't have hit it better.
Just been one of those nights for the Red Tornadoes.
Yeah, just can't get it to break their way. And one of those nights for the Tigers where they've just been in the right position and made the right decisions and right plays.
So it's 1st and 10 for the Tigers at the Red Tornado 45, 46 yard line. And they hand it to Barnes, and he's got space in the middle of a first down for the Tigers.
And they'll stop the clock briefly here for the first down.
And the Red Tornadoes are going to start running into multiple foes here. It's the Tiger run game, it's the clock, and it's the deficit.
Yeah. And as that clock runs, the Tigers still haven't broken the huddle. They're near 10 seconds on the play clock just getting on the ball. So they're in no rush. They're gonna milk this clock as long as they can.
And it's Wisłowski. He'll be close to a first down. It'll be a yard or two short maybe. It's going to be third down here. Or excuse me, second down.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Tornadoes doing everything that they need to do defensively. I mean, one guy's kind of making the wrap up and securing the tackle and holding up the Tiger running back to try and come in and have guys rip at the ball. But credit the Tigers. They had a little bit of issues early on in the game, as did the Red Tornadoes with ball security. But they're making sure they got 2 hands on that ball when they need it.
Yeah, and you think the concern here, and this is kind of what happens and how it goes at different times, is the more you start to reach for that football, the more likely these strong runners are able to run through some of those arm tackles. And Barnes will have a first down there for the Tigers and keep the clock moving.
Yeah, and again, it looked like Reed Schultz almost had the ball wrapped up, trying to pull it away from Barnes, but Barnes does a really good job of just hanging on to it.
So the ball's now inside the 20, at about the 17, 18-yard line, somewhere in that vicinity. It's 1st and 10 for the Tigers. They lead 28-12. Get an official timeout. Trying to figure out exactly why.
It's like for equipment, I think. As they'll wind the clock.
We'll get back to it. Again, this is the district championship game of District 4 Class 2A. It's a WKMC TV broadcast, the student-run TV studio out of Mount Carmel. Tonight's game is sponsored by the American Legion in Atlas. Arnold hands to Barnes. Just runs tough.
As he's done all night long.
Get around the 15 or so, maybe inside. We'll say the 14, 12.
I think that's a good guess.
And gain of 5, and I think, and that's this happens to us more and more, I think, as the season's gone on. We've had these angles where or the runs, it's a good run.
Yeah.
And it's the difference between 3 and 5 yards, I think, is always eaten up by this ankle. So
yeah, I think
that was
you're
5
right.
for Barnes there. And this is Wisłowski, and he's going to go back the other way. And it's again a Tiger touchdown. Wisłowski good from 12 yards out. His second of the night, and it's 34-12 Tigers.
Yeah, and again, you know, the Red Tornadoes weren't successful on the onside kick, and this is exactly what they were in fear of. You know, they wanted to keep that ball away from this Tiger offense, along with giving themselves another opportunity on the offensive side of the ball, and the Tigers were able to eat clock and put another 6 points on the board.
Carter's kick is blocked, so it'll stay 34-12 here with 6:16 remaining in the final quarter of this district championship game.
Yeah,
So Dan, while we've got a second here, there's another district championship game going on tonight in the area. That would be Danville and Loyalsock.
Yeah, and that was
Class
definitely
3A.
a game that we all kind of wanted to keep an eye on.
Just out of curiosity, how's that shaping up?
Currently in the fourth quarter, Danville had 2 scores, 27-13 over Loyalsock. And, you know, we talked about the buzzsaw that Danville has been going through this season. The only team that had given them any sort of fits was Loyalsock.
Yeah.
That was a 3-point victory for Danville in the regular season. But now it seems like Danville, with a 2-score lead, I don't know the time left in that one, but with a 2-score lead, it seems like they are poised to move ahead and get a state playoff berth.
We talked about it coming into district playoffs. There were 3 teams, well, 3 of the teams in District 4. You had the Red Tornadoes undefeated in 2A. Diaz tries to get a return, bouncing off defenders. A nice job all the way out to about the 30-yard line. But the Red Tornadoes were undefeated in Class 2A, Danville undefeated in Class 3A, and Jersey Shore undefeated in Class 4A.
Yes.
Jersey Shore secured their state playoff berth last week. Danville seems on the way at this point on their side, and the Red Tornadoes, well, they need to get to work here over the next 6 minutes and 10 seconds if they'd like to see their season continue beyond tonight.
Yeah, we'll see that the Red Tornadoes again gonna open things up, but you see Schultz, you know, we talked about it last time when they wanted to roll Spears to his right. They brought Schultz in again at the tight end spot. Look for him to maybe leak out.
Shimko does a nice job there. What a catch by Verano. Oh my goodness, in a season in which he's made some terrific catches, that may be the best one.
Yeah, that one was very impressive, Jim. And not only the fact that he was able to secure that catch and bring the ball in, but the wherewithal to know where he was on the field and keep his feet in bounds. And again, the Red Tornadoes able to strike quick on their last series, looking to do the same here.
Shimko doing a nice job in that left tackle position, kind of riding Arnold up and out of the play as he was threatening to bear down on Spears at every turn. Spears pass completed across the middle to Chicatano down to the 35.
Yeah, that one was a little bit behind Chicatano. Chicatano did a good job of, kind of catching that on his back hip and reeling that one in. But again, you're right, Jim. Shimko on that left tackle spot. Arnold's been causing a lot of trouble for the quarterback and running backs alike for the Red Tornadoes. But Shimko's been doing a good job handling them here on this drive.
Spears gets it out to Farinado. Another first down for the Red Tornadoes. It'll stop the clock as Farinado got out of bounds.
Yeah, and that's an important part as well there for Farinado, not only to secure the first down and the catch, but to get out of bounds and keep that clock right where it is, just under 5.5 minutes. Or maybe he didn't get out of bounds, because that clock is winding. So he got the first down.
Now Spears rolls to the other side, and he floats it out wide of his intended target, Verano. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and that time Spears was able to get outside of Arnold, who was bringing a lot of pressure. But the second level of pressure coming from the linebackers of the Tigers got to Spears and kind of forced him to throw that a little bit before he would have liked to. But it does stop the clock. That's the upside at this point of an incompletion, is it does stop the clock.
Spears will drop back. There's a screen. He tried to get it to Verano just wide of his target. Incomplete. It's going to be 3rd down.
Yeah, and the Tigers really seem like they've been just clogging the throwing lanes, at least on the inside, for Spears, especially during those screens, because they're bringing so much pressure. They stay kind of in their lanes and they get their hands out. So it kind of forces Spears to have to throw a little bit ahead or behind his receivers, and unfortunately that time Verano was not able to pull that one in.
The Red Tornadoes run a draw to Blessing, and the Tigers recover very well. Blessing's going to pick up a yard or two. It's going to be 4th and around 8 as there's some back and forth in the pile. Officials come in, sort it out. And now the Red Tornadoes face 4th down.
Yeah, so now another obstacle for the Red Tornadoes. The clock, the Tigers defense, and now the down and distance with a fourth and long here for the Red Tornadoes, needing a conversion.
Spears under pressure, he floats it. He's got Schultz, who's open. 1st down for the Red Tornadoes. Nice job by Schultz finding the hole in the zone, securing the catch, and getting upfield.
Yeah, he did a really good job. He kind of sat down in that zone, and that's a testament to how good Schultz has been this whole year, and Spears, that just those two kind of knowing each other. Schultz knew that Spears was under a lot of pressure and needed to get that ball out, so he sat down in an opening and then found the sticks and got a big 1st down conversion.
Spears is going to float it out there, and he's got Farinado. Touchdown, Red Tornadoes. Farinado's 2nd of the game. Spears' 2nd touchdown pass of the night.
Yeah, and Farinado picks that one up nearly off the ground. That was an impressive catch there from Farinado. Did a good job, and yeah, Jim, you pointed out here, Blessing seemed a little hobbled from that run play, that draw play, and now he's finally subbed out. The credit to him, the toughness it takes. He knew that the Red Tornadoes were in a hurry-up offense, and they couldn't afford to take a timeout or to kind of have him stay down on the field. So he waits until the scoring play and gets down there.
Now the Red Tornadoes try a little trickery there with a reverse for their 2-point conversion. Have trouble with the handoffs, so it'll remain 34-18 Tigers with 3 minutes and 56 seconds left here at the Silver Bowl. Again, just want to thank the American Legion and Atlas for their sponsorship of tonight's broadcast. We want to thank WKMC TV and all the students for their efforts tonight and throughout the season.
Again, Jim, if you want to look at the upside here for the Red Tornadoes, just under 4 minutes left, the most important thing there is if you go back to the Tigers' last score, where they were able to block the extra point. That keeps this a 2-score game. With the failed 2-point conversion there, that keeps this score at 16. So the Red Tornadoes, if they can catch some lightning here and get a quick onside kick recovery and put another 6 points, 8 points on the board, they're in business, Jim.
Well, and I think what we know, what we've seen is, if you want to talk about a picture-perfect onside kick, Jagodinsky can do it.
Yeah.
He's got that ability to get those 2 or 3 small hops and then the unexpected big one.
And Jim, you wonder, he gave the roller with the big hop on the first one, You see, maybe does he try the pop-up, the pop fly here, let one of his Red Tornadoes kind of run underneath it if possible.
We're going to find out here shortly. Just a hard line drive, and it gets all the way through to who else but Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes has been big for this Tigers team all day, and he does exactly what he needed to do. He secured that and gave himself up so that he didn't have to worry about taking a hit, any chance for a fumble, get the offense back out there with under 4 minutes to go, and a chance to really put this one away for the Tigers.
Barnes offensively and Arnold defensively, I would say, have been the two biggest cogs in this Tiger machine tonight.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And then we talked about it earlier. The biggest, special teams play of the day was the 4th down conversion by Isaac Carter.
Barnes up the middle, nowhere to go.
We're gonna have a Red Tornado timeout.
And it's and it just goes to show the impact he's had on the game, because we talk about Barnes in that context, but we also have to acknowledge Wisłowski's got a couple rushing touchdowns, probably well over 100 yards for the night. And Carter Madden has 2 rushing touchdowns as well.
Yeah, this Tiger offense has been versatile to say the least. But you're right. I think that just the difference in this game has been, compared at least to the Week 8 Red Tornado victory, has been the presence of Wes Barnes on the field, and honestly, the extra dimension that he brings to that Tiger offense.
And it's allowed the Tigers, they've been in a position all night where they haven't had to throw the football. I mean, they threw it twice in the first half. One of them got picked off, and Coach Roth said, nope, no more.
Yeah.
No more of that.
And that's the thing. They were in a position, the Red Tornadoes put the Tigers in a position in the Week 8 victory where they had to throw. They had two-score lead at one point, and the Tigers were forced to throw because they only had Wisłowski, who was really the big home run hitter in that game. Now they've got 2 of them.
And Wisłowski there, and he's up the seam. He's still on his feet. Gets a good block downfield. And Wisłowski's in, and now I changed my mind from Barnes to Wisłowski. As he's good. That's from 57 yards out.
And Jim, I mean, that's a good run on a nice day. And he's doing that. Wisłowski's just dashing through the snow and turns that into 6 points for the Tigers to, again, that kind of solidify their position and put away the Red Tornadoes' hopes for a comeback to this point.
And so on his 3 touchdown runs alone, and we did this last week with Diaz, as Carter's kick is good. We did this last week with Diaz. On Wisłowski's 3 touchdown runs, he's got, by my counts, all unofficial, of course, about 119 yards.
Yeah, and that's just the touchdown runs.
Right. So, and you think about some of the other rushes. I mean, he's well over $150.
Yeah, I would say so. That's definitely. He's definitely sitting 150 plus, but you talk about Barnes as well, and I know Wisłowski kind of has taken over here and been the difference maker. He's been the kind of the home run hitter. Barnes has been the body blows guy. I mean, he's been the one converting the 3rd and shorts. He's been the one that's been, kind of running the ball up the middle, taking a beating.
Yeah. And
just keeps coming back.
And again, and Barnes, not a big guy.
No.
5'8", 5'9", $180. And again, you just think about how much time he missed this season with an injury. So to have him back is huge for the Tigers as they kind of prep themselves for a stretch run here.
Yeah.
And that's, while we're talking about Dan, I would be curious if there's any way for us to kind of get some insight. And looks like Verano this time returning the kick.
It looked like he was able to get free there, but number 5, Braden Andrews, has been pretty prevalent on special teams.
Yeah.
I've seen him in on a few special teams plays, making big tackles, because it looked like Verano had some space.
I'll be honest with you, I lost him in the wash there for a second.
Yeah, and Jim, I think the winner of this game is going to be playing the Marauders of Bishop Guilfoyle. They are currently leading Penns Valley 56-28.
Oh my
in
goodness.
the fourth quarter. So that is a tough team, that Bishop Guilfoyle.
And Spears is intercepted by Chrisman, and he's down the sideline, and he's going to take it and put a punctuation mark on what's been a dominating victory. He's going to spike the football and take a penalty there. But this has been a dominating victory by the Tigers tonight.
Yeah, on both sides of the ball, from the last drive of the first half all the way through, the Red Tornadoes have not been able to get a stop here defensively in the second half. And then you look here, the Red Tornadoes defense, the Red Tornadoes offense, which has, once they started kind of throwing the ball here in the second half, they've done everything right. And they've looked good being able to move the ball, but just the little misstep there, and Chrisman in the right position was able to turn that pick into a pick 6.
Well, and I'm going to take the positive out of here. Coach Roth won't like the penalty, I'm sure, but I really enjoy watching Carter kick.
Yeah.
So if we get to see a couple extra yards here, so what, that ball's about the 20, so call it a 30-yard extra point attempt here. 31 maybe.
I think that's fair. And it seems like going up to this point, because of the snow on the extra points, Carter's been kind of taking a one step. Now he's got a little bit more of a regular kind of drop back here for his extra point attempt. He's going to need a little bit more leg, but he's definitely got the ability to put it through. I think in the first, and actually they're going to move the ball back. The Red Tornadoes are going to assess this penalty on the kickoff. As you see happen pretty often.
Yeah.
That you want to kind of, the extra point, that 1 point is not that important to you at this point, but getting the ball in good field position is.
Kick is good, and it's 48-18 here with 3 minutes and 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
And again, Jim, we talked about it. So the Tigers, with 3:18 left and a 30-point lead, kind of have themselves poised for a matchup with that Bishop Guilfoyle team, and I haven't seen too much film of them, but their reputation has kind of preceded them this year. We've heard a lot about them, and they've been tough all year. So it's going to be a tough matchup.
I think it's worth taking a step back here and acknowledging and just remembering that the score at halftime was 7-6 Tigers.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are maybe not as great at math like I am, I pulled the calculator out just to be safe. The Tigers have scored 41 points in the second half.
And there's still time left, Jim.
My goodness, Dan. What a rosy outlook you have. Ryan will take the kick around the 20, going back over his shoulder. He makes the first tackler miss, the second tackler miss. He'll lose a little bit of his footing, get out over the 40 to maybe the 42-yard line or so. And the Red Tornado offense will head back out there to see if they can put a couple more points on the board here.
Yeah, and Jim, we talked about it now that the The Red Tornadoes coming into this game had 536 points. Now, again, we don't really get a chance to. It's tough to look at this because of the deficit on the scoreboard for the Red Tornadoes. They came into the game with 536 points, and I mentioned earlier that I thought that they had already surpassed that 13-game total, which was the all-time record. I'm sorry, 14-point total for the 2008 team of 539 points. So with their touchdown in the first half, they surpassed that. And although they aren't going to get to that 13-0 as that 2008 team did, they are going to hold that spot in the record books as the most prolific Red Tornado offense we have seen.
Hand off to Farinado, and as Farinado runs up right around midfield to bring up 3rd and 5, the other thing, there's a couple kind of notable statistical oddities, so to speak, that maybe are worth bringing up. Jose, again, these are all courtesy of Jose. He's kind enough to provide us with all this information. Farinado's rushing touchdown earlier in the quarter runs the Red Tornado streak of consecutive rushing touchdowns to 29 games as Spears' pass falls incomplete, looking for Verano. So they get that to 29 games. And then perhaps the most ominous of all, we talked about this before or during the Shikellamy game the Shikellamy game back in Week 9.
Yeah.
He said, well, if the Red Tornadoes handle business in Week 9 and Week 10, the likely scenario is that they'll have home field advantage throughout the district playoffs, which, if they're able to reach the district championship game, would be a streak of 5 consecutive home games. And Spears' pass falls incomplete, so the Tigers will take over now on downs with 2:31 left. So the 5 consecutive games, which sounds like a lot, but again, Jose was kind enough to kind of share with us that in 1931, the Red Tornadoes played 5 straight, and just for good measure, in 1913, 1932, and 1942, they played 6 straight. So we can add 2022 to that record of 5 straight at home games, but unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, it does appear that they won't break kind of the ominous record there that while the Red Tornadoes have played 5 or 6 consecutive home games in their history, they've never won them all.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, again, Jim, it's unfortunate for the Red Tornadoes after the season that this team has had to finally kind of get off the schneid. They beat the Tigers in the regular season for the first time in how long? The Red it's been a while since the Red
years,
Tornadoes. Yes. So
or 14 tries, excuse me.
Right. 14 attempts. They finally are able to break that streak in the regular season, but now sixth. I think you said the 6th try in 5 years, or 5th try in 6 years. I'm sorry. That the Red Tornadoes had at a district championship game against this same Southern Columbia area Tigers. It appears that the Tigers are going to go to 6-0, 5-0 against the Red Tornadoes.
It's Madden again off the left side. He'll be close to a first down. And trying to eyeball where that official's standing. Well, now he moved around to trick me a little bit.
It looks like they're going to signal 3rd down. They're not going to give him the 1st. But that's going to keep the clock ticking as he stays in bounds.
We're under 2 minutes here. The Tigers lead the Red Tornadoes 48-18 at the Silver Bowl. Again, tonight's broadcast sponsored by the American Legion in Atlas. We want to thank them for the support tonight, and all of you that you've supported the broadcast throughout the season. Arnold will keep it himself, pick up the first down. The clock will stop momentarily as the chains are moved, but as soon as it's wound again, and there it goes, we'll be under 90 seconds.
And again, Jim, you'll see as this Red Tornado, this Tiger offense, again, in no hurry as this clock is wound. The unfortunate, we talked about the magical season that this Red Tornado team has had. 12-0 to get to this district championship game. And now the victory formation from the Tigers as they kneel on the ball here. And I think we'll probably only have to do that one more time. And that magical season for the Red Tornadoes will come to an end. But that doesn't take anything away from the amazing season that this team has had. They've played so well throughout 13 games this year. You can't take anything away from them.
There it is, the final kneel down. And there's still a few seconds left on the clock, but there'll be no more snaps. The Tigers begin their celebration, and a well-earned one, as the Red Tornadoes are catatonic on their sideline. As the clock hits 0 and the clock strikes midnight on this season, as the Red Tornadoes will fall for the first time in 13 games in the district championship to the tune of 48-18 to the Tigers of Southern Columbia, who now advance as the District 4 champions and the District 4 representatives to go, I don't want to say Altoona, but that's the number that we're hearing, or that's the location we're hearing, potentially in Altoona, to go play Bishop Guilfoyle.
Yeah, which would essentially be a home game for Bishop Guilfoyle. And you see, you gotta like to see the respect that these two teams have for each other. They're shaking hands. These guys, as tough as they play each other on the field, they're enemies inside that 48 minutes. They all respect each other, and great show of sportsmanship from everybody all around.
It was a tremendous showing by the Tigers on the road in the snow.
Yeah.
Again, they did everything you expected them to do. They scored points, which is, I don't think even the most diehard Red Tornado fans did not expect to be able to kind of stifle that offense, especially once you brought Barnes into the mix.
Right.
But most importantly, perhaps, is they were able to really kneecap that Red Tornado rushing attack. And I see Jose's kind of gathering some numbers for us, so I think we'll have those in just a minute. But what a victory by the Tigers.
Yeah, Jim, it was an impressive showing, and I think that although Bishop Guilfoyle did have a game of their own to kind of pay attention to tonight, I'm sure that at least the fandom for the Marauders were kind of keeping an eye on this game as well, because that this is going to be your next week's matchup, and you knew that Tiger team had been very tough with the return of Barnes at the start of the playoffs.
And in the same way this one kind of got out of hand late, it looked like the District 4 AAA final got out of hand late as well. It doesn't look like it's gone final, but the Danville Ironmen have opened a lead up to 41-13 over the Loyalsock Lancers. So for those of you out there who have an interest in local competition, keep an eye on both the Tigers, the Ironmen, and Jersey Shore. So it is a cold night here. We'll give it another second to see if we hear anything from Jose, but if not, we'll wrap this up here. Again, the TV studio has been here all day. They've been out in the cold, the snow.
All year, really.
Well,
yeah, all football season, hot and cold, and we did get the final tally here from Jose. So
walk us through it, Dan.
We'll run through it here. The Red Tornadoes, it looks like 31 carries for 38 yards, 14 of 24 passing for 163 yards. So they really kind of turned things on with the game through the air, but it's the difference that the Tigers, 57 rushing attempts for 383 rushing yards. And of course, they stayed right where they were in the first half in the passing game, 1 of 2 for -5 yards passing, but 378 total yards for the Tigers, all on the ground, and that was the difference maker.
Yeah, so unfortunately for the Red Tornadoes, the best season in a decade ends on somewhat of a sour note here with a loss to the Tigers. But as we often do, just a friendly kind of call out here to the senior members of the football team, the cheerleaders, the band, and the TV studio. We certainly wish you well in your future endeavors. And, we look forward to welcoming you into the ranks of the Mount Carmel area alum club Dan and I are part of when you finish your senior year here in the spring. We also want to take a minute to thank all you, the fans, the MCA faithful who make the trip to the Silver Bowl when the Big Red's in town and listen, to us for away games and every Wednesday on Service Electric. Your support's unmatched, as we've seen throughout the year with all the different ways that you've been able to kind of come through for us and help us keep this alive again. Tonight, we appreciate the American Legion and Atlas and their support, but we've had so many supporters throughout the season. But then, of course, on a more personal note, there have been rumors, we'll say, Dan, of the departure of an individual who's as much a part of these Friday night broadcasts as the football used on the field.
Yeah.
And if tonight's the last time we have the privilege of being a part of and enjoying a WKMC TV broadcast that's under the direction of Mr. Dave McPhee, I want to be the first to congratulate you, Mr. McPhee, on a well-deserved retirement, whenever that may happen. And thank you, for all you've done individually for the school, all you've accomplished for yourself, and most importantly for the students, past and present, and of everything you've been able to provide to them, and all the success that they've had on account of your mentorship. These nights aren't going to be the same without you, so we hope you stick around as long as humanly possible. But I think with that, Dan, we can probably sign off the 2022 season. Again, the Red Tornadoes won a terrific 12 games, but came up just short here tonight in the 13th contest. So I'm Jim Lesko.
And I'm Dan Lesko.
And for Jose Gonzalo, this has been a WKMC TV broadcast of Red Tornadoes football. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next season.
Go Red.